It's me, it's VivKB, and thank you again for joining us here on the VivKB Podcast. Thank you, Mr. Thorpe, once again producing this great content, Thorpe Films. Thank you, Thorpe.
No worries at all, here we go.
Cool, man. Now, this is very exciting. This is the first time we sort of got some social media recognition because we have a guest that the people want. It is the people's champ of Canberra, Mr. Billy Joe Giampaolo. Thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm super excited for this. I've known you pretty much since I got into the industry. I remember, funny story for you guys, the first time I properly introduced myself to Billy, I just started my own clothing brand, Legacy Apparel, and Billy was shopping in the world and he was getting some hair product. And I thought, this is probably my only chance to pitch to this guy. You know, my genius idea of selling t-shirts. Mind you, I had not sold a single t-shirt at this time. So remember, I ran after you, were just minding your own business, buying some stuff, and I just chased you down. I'm like, oh, Mr. Giampaolo, sir, my name's Viv, and I'm really just nice to meet you, and I'm just got this idea. It's these t-shirts, and I really want to sell them. They're going to be the biggest thing in Canberra. It's going to be, and you sort of just went, calm down. See how you go. If you do any good, come call me. Funny thing was, a couple of months later, Legacy Apparel really took off. We were selling shirts left, right, and center. This man right here ended up putting me in, was it about 7 different stores at the time?
Yeah, it was good. Like, I remember the first time I met, and this kid comes up and he's like, hello, sir, can I bother you? And I think, bloody hell, I haven't been called sir, I'm not that old. And I was like, well, he seems like a really polite kid, he seems really nice. And that was the biggest thing that stuck with me, when someone was really polite straight off the bat. You think he's going to do all right, because you know by the way people are straight away. I mean, you know, you compare that to, I had a little shit walk into my gym once doing work experience, and I'm walking up the stairs and I see this little shit sitting on the counter, his feet over the edge, and I was like, who are you? And he said, I'm waiting for Paul, which is my floor manager. I said, no, I didn't ask. I asked, who are you? He said, I'm here for work experience. I said, get your ass off that counter now, get in that boxing room, get some cleaning, and don't come out until I tell you to come out. He was there till lunchtime and we didn't see him again, but that was fair enough. But that was, you know, that was basically the generation we had then. But to have someone come up and go, hey sir, this is what I've got, this is what I want to do, was one of those things where I thought, you know what, he's going to be good. And you know it from the first day. Now, you know, how that turns out in the end, you don't know. But I said, my initial thing was, yeah, what a good kid. And that's why I said, you want to help people out. And I said, giving people a start sometimes is all they need. It doesn't necessarily mean they end up with you, but they always remember, oh, that bloke was okay, gave me a start when no one would. So that was my first recollection. Obviously, you've come a fair way down the track now, and you're doing your thing, you're successful doing your own bits and pieces, and you know that's the way you want to see people in that.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that, man. It's the cool thing about, I guess, our relationship is the respect I had from you even before I met you has only grown since I got to know you, and I think I'm one of the few that really did get to know you, and I'm very grateful for that, and which is why this is so cool for me that, you know, I've known you 5-6 years now, but this is the first time we've sat down and talked about things.
Yes.
And what a platform to do it on. I'm really grateful for that. So let's get started into it, man. Let's talk about your childhood and your teenage years. Were you born here, Billy? Or?
Born here, Canberra Hospital.
Beautiful.
It still exists, before they blew it up. I remember playing soccer as a kid. And I grew up being a really big kid, like naturally a big kid. And people are always like, oh, that man, he must have taken heaps of gear to get the way he was. And, you know, fuck him. But what they forget was I was 83 kilos in year 8.
Oh, wow.
So when you're 83 kilos in year 8, yeah, a bit of a stiff kid, but I was ultimately a really, really strong kid.
Yeah.
Overweight. So, did I get bullied? No, because I was probably a bit tough to get bullied. Like, I didn't mind having a crack.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you're more of a social outcast when it comes to females and that type of thing. And I thank God for that. Because what it does is, I mean, you look at anyone, you look at good-looking males and females. Like, I'm not talking good, I'm really ultra. They lose their hunting skills. And I don't mean like to pick people up, it's like everything gets given to them. You're a good-looking female, people want to throw you a job, people want to throw you this. You're a good-looking male, people want to always do something for you. Growing up having a busted head and a stiff keg means you've got to learn a lot of skills. You've got to be good at stuff. And I remember being there at school and, you know, being 80 kilos or whatever I was, 81 or 82 in year 7 or year 8, and they had a weightlifting comp at school. And they come around and they tested you in the clean and jerk. I didn't know what clean and jerk was, but ultimately finished, I think, first or second in all of ACT in New South Wales for my age group without ever having lifted a weight before. And I thought, I really like this. And, you know, growing up in an Italian family that immigrated from Italy, if you didn't play soccer and you wanted to lift weights, you might as well have told them you're on heroin. It was the same shit. And it was like, where are you going? 13 years old, I started at the gym, 1986.
Right, so at 13, that was your first sort of...
So first thing, but you had to be 15 to go in. And this is at the PCYC in Turner. And I remember the sergeant going, how old are you? I'm like, 15. But it was amazing. And I knew from that day on I didn't want to play soccer. And I played soccer. I was very good at it. I was okay, but it ultimately didn't do anything for me. And I remember playing in a team sport. I thought, this is shit. I can do whatever I want. And ultimately it doesn't make a difference because some motherfucker can wreck the whole game, and what difference does it make for me? Totally. I remember the first time I lifted weights at a friend's yard, I said, this is what I'm going to do. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I said, I'm never going back.
So you were hooked straight away?
But you need to remember, back then there was 4 gyms in Canberra. No one did weights. If you did weights, you were like, what do? Do you do weightlifting? Do you lift it over your head? No one understood what it was. Not even my parents. My parents were super concerned. They're thinking, what have we done? How have we raised this kid? Now, at the time, I was furious. Now, I just understand that was their belief system. And I thought, well, if you don't play soccer, you go running.
Right.
And for me, it's like, I want to do weights. I love the feeling of being strong. It wasn't necessarily from the aesthetics point of view. And then at 16, I think I was 15 or 16, I seen this thing called, someone's going, you got to do deadlifts. Remember, there was no internet then.
Yeah.
So what did I have to do? You have to go to the news agency, and I remember catching a bus. I remember one day from Ainslie to Tuggeranong at 16, I think I was, or 15, I forget what to get a Powerlifting USA magazine. That's the only source of information I had. And going back, I've got to do deadlifts. And I remember going to PCYC at 15 years old, my first deadlift was 180. That was the very first day I lifted. And I remember a bloke coming down and goes, how long have you been deadlifting for? I said, today's my first day. He's like, right. I was like, he walked off and I thought, and it just felt good for me.
Right.
It felt good doing that. And, you know, and being at the PCYC and having it that way, you know what I mean, and learning was amazing. You had all these, you know, ex-world champs come out of there and boxing champs and everything. It was a really hardcore gym.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask you next. Like, obviously getting into the gym, you've become such a big mentor for so many people. Who are your mentors that really helped you establish yourself? You know what, I really didn't have any that I looked up to around town because remember, no one was doing it. Right. So mine were more the guys in the books. So I looked at the people, so I really liked Tom Platz just because of his insane intensity. And you look up Tom Platz, you know, these guys bordered on mentally insane. But the reality was, you know, this is what you had to do. And I thought, if I have to do this, this is how I have to do it. And I remember saying to myself at the time, unless I'm squatting 260 and deadlifting 300, I can't leave PCYC. Because I thought all the commercial gyms in Canberra were like the ones in LA, where there was blokes squatting 300 plus. And of course, when you go to leave and squat 300, back in the day, people look at you like, who is this freak? It's a freak. You know, exactly. Whatever it was. And they're like, oh my God, where did he come from? So yeah, it was, they're the people I looked at. But as far as other people, it was, I think I found it really difficult as a teenager. I mean, getting told you're fat, getting told you're stupid, all that type of stuff kind of gets imprinted. And people say, oh, I got over it. Do you ever really get over it? Sometimes, and I think it's good for me because you never actually get ahead of yourself. Being told you're stupid by siblings and you're fat and you're useless, that's the best thing that can happen for some people. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but I'm saying for me it was the best thing because I thought, well, I'm going to do it this way. Some people get motivated by positivity. I love negativity. It's just the way I'm wired. You know what I mean? And that was the best for me. So a lot of the time I mentored myself. Right. Well, it's cool to see that, like, you never looked at yourself as a victim, even though, like you said, these are totally, you know, these are negative reinforcing. You know, people saying all those sort of things about you, but you went, well, fuck you. Let me just...
Yeah, well, that was what it was. And people are like, oh, don't do it that way. You know, statistics show positive. And like, the problem is when you blanket statement everything, you're a fuckwit. Because there's no such thing as you can say, it's unequivocal that this works like this. That's why I never blanket statement someone, you know, and I just refuse to do it. So for me, the negativity works the best.
Right.
When I get negativity, I think, well, I can't make it. I'm like, but in my head, and I don't do it just for the sake of it. If I think I can make it work and everyone says you can't, I go, but I can make it work, and I know. But if everyone says you can't, and you know you can't, well, then you don't try. For me, it's like, well, I know that can't work, and they're telling me, and so why would I? But the majority of the time, I got told, you can't do that, you can't do this. And I'm like, but I think I can.
Was it by people that, you know, they couldn't do it? And which is why, because they couldn't do it, they tried to tell you couldn't do it. Because like you said, you've already been some form of an outcast just because you're size and all of that. You're doing something completely different. Is it because there was no knowledge there for them?
Well, I think it come from them. I think it come from they almost made it. Almost made it people are the ones that are the most bitter. And what happens is they're good enough to get to X level, but they never really got to Y. Right. And remember, when you're beneath them, they're like, he's never ever going to make it. And I'm thinking, but why not? Why can't I? And for me, you know, I've waited for 14 years to smash a bully that got me when I was 12 or 13 years old. So for me, it's not a thing of saying, well, you know, you haven't. I'll just say, well, as long as it takes, I'll keep doing it.
Right.
I've never had that thing of, if I don't get it done by this time, I'm like, if that's what I've decided to do, that's what I'm doing.
Doesn't matter how long you stick to it, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about that, because that's a very impressive deadlift on your first day at the gym. I can only assume that's where the whole powerlifting and bodybuilding...
Well, that's where I started from. So I wanted to be a bodybuilder, but ultimately when I was younger, I just didn't... I had the more fridge physique, so I've got the enormous torso with skinny arms. Right. You know what I mean? I've always been a... And part of the reason I come from that is I never wanted to be the good-looking guy. And you almost hate the good-looking guy, because I'm like, I never want to be the good-looking guy that trains his arms and shoulders and walks on the beach and girls are like, fuck you and fuck the girls. I just want to be the beast that lifts.
Right.
And now look at me. Now I'm rolling with straight salami long arms and a fridge for a torso.
My friend, at least you got the torso. I got skinny arms, skinny body. Yeah. I will never forgive my parents. But that's
so that was the thing. So what happens is you go out and get strong. Right. You go out and get strong because you think, well, girls aren't going to like me, and these motherfuckers are always going to look better than me in the gym. So I'm going to go be stronger than everyone. Doesn't matter what I need to do. So
was powerlifting what came first before bodybuilding?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Let's talk about that. What was your first powerlifting comp?
So I remember I competed in the Australian Deadlift Challenge in 1998.
Right.
Right, and I thought, this is it, and this is a big thing. So it was massive. It was in Melbourne. There was 100 competitors. And I think, everyone would come from around Australia. I thought, I'm going to have a crack at this. But back then you were allowed to enter double classes. So I entered as a novice, and I entered at the Open. And I remember that was my first comp, and I think I beat the novice guy by 100 kilos. And I think I won the overall. I think I pulled 345 or 350 in my first comp.
How old were you?
I think I was like 24.
And you pulled how much?
350 or 345. And it was an Australian record, and people, you could see, like back then, there was a lot of people loved it, but a lot of people really hated it because you came straight in and shook up the whole scene in one go.
Right. Who was big in the powerlifting scene?
Laurie Butler was my favourite. So Laurie Butler was like 45 or 50 at the time, pulling 320, and he was one of the really nice guys. He was amazing. He came up to me and said, mate, you've got a big future, good on you. He didn't have to prove anything. He had about 20 world records at the time for the 50-year-olds or whatever. He didn't have to prove, and he was really good to me. He always supported me. He would always, help me out with whatever I need. But there was the other problem, is like when you went and asked for someone for help. So I was strong by virtue of being strong and being mentally super strong, where I would max every week for 10 years, for 5 or 10 years straight, I think. I'd do a 1 rep max. Now, stupid, yes. The reason I lasted, I was built like an industrial unit. It wasn't through being smart or anything. So every week I'd try and max.
Well, like you touched on before, the knowledge wasn't there, right?
And no one would tell you.
Yeah.
They're like, why would I tell you? You just beat me by 30 kilos. They're like, I'm not telling you what to do. So then what did you do? You just go out and lift more, and you just try and do it. And I remember when I got invited over to lead FDS with Jim Wendler and Dave Tate. Jim Wendler goes, you are the worst fucking lifter. He's actually, you're the worst lifter Australia. He goes, but damn, you're strong. And that's why I pulled 372 at 105. So that was the biggest lift. And I'd done it after having a relationship breakup and not sleeping for 40 hours. So
yes,
go
life.
figure. Yeah, it's like good.
People forget about life sometimes. Okay, well look, so I remember you did compete in bodybuilding, and so that's after that. What was the transition towards that?
Well, I got to the point, once again, people said, oh, he's massive. I remember I was weighing 129 or 133 kilos. I was a big, 5'11", that's a big guy.
Yeah, totally.
And I remember bent over rowing 220 kilos for reps. I remember, squatting, 18 or 19 reps on 5 plates and 15 or 14 on 6 plates a side. Like, I was a strong guy. And everyone's like, he's really strong, but he'd never make a bodybuilder. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do bodybuilding now. And I remember the first diet I did, so I'm going to do my own diet. So it went on right. Everyone said you're going to have low carbs in your diet. So I did 16 grams of carbs for about 14 weeks and did cardio and tried to work and train and wondered why I wanted to cry. It was dreadful, right? But I was absolutely shredded. So I remember I competed in a local comp and I didn't do too well. And then I said, right, I went and I started to educate myself on what needed to be done. And I won the NABBA New South Wales. I won the novice and the overall.
What year was this?
2001.
2001.
And then I remember, this is one of the things I think, you think, did that actually happen? I remember the guy comes back and goes, I want you to come back and guest pose. You've got a great physique. And I'm like, I guest posed at a comp. And I'm like, shit, I actually did. But what I remember I did was I guest posed because I was about 5 weeks out for a show, then came back and pulled 340 deadlift on stage, like straight after. It almost killed me, but I did it. And I thought, oh my God, that's right. I got invited to go. And this was Phil Anderson and Port Macquarie.
Right.
Invited me to do that. Then I remember I did the NABBA Australia, and I think I placed 4th or 3rd or something like that. I just didn't look the way I should have. I fucked around a bit with the dieting.
But at the show, that's a pretty good result.
Yeah, but then I went to the IFBB, and I said, I'm going to do the IFBB Australia. And I remember going up against some sponsored guys, I think. And back then, I think there was about 16 in my class. But then what you had to do is you literally had 16 really good competitors. And I thought, when I dieted so hard, and I remember it was the best I'd ever looked, and I said, I don't want to do this again. Not built for it. I'm not a bodybuilder. I really battle. Some people don't battle, but when I know everyone battles when they get lean, but to me it was to the point of where I just didn't feel like I could keep doing it.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I remember I said I didn't care if I placed 1st, 5th, whatever, and I won the Australasia in my division that year.
Wow.
And everyone's like, Billy, you're amazing. We've never seen anyone with striated glutes at 103 or 104 kilos. Obviously, that's not impressive now, but in 2004, that was a huge thing. People were like, wow, that guy's amazing. And I remember some of the judges going, you look like a specimen. Come back and try for your pro card. You know what I mean? No. I knew what I had to take and what I had to do with my body wasn't for me. I wasn't good enough. That's when you know yourself. One, if I had the ability to do it, I probably wouldn't anyway. But for me, it was after that point I thought, well, that's enough for me now.
Yeah, well, I mean, bodybuilding is subjective, as you know. So it's not like you could be the hardest one, like fucking pulling 45 weeks out from a comp is insane. You're probably the hardest worker there, but if you genetically don't have it at that level,
and you don't. And the thing is, reality is, you see some people who walk around in the day who really don't train much, who make me look useless.
Yeah.
They've just got that physique. Now, for me, you can't compete against those guys. Those guys there, when you put everything together, you put the physique, and if they've got the mental strength, and they take the correct supplements, drugs, whatever it might be, I don't care whether you're natural, right, and you get everything together, you can't beat them. Doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah.
But did I do good for what I had? Well, I thought I did. Was I amazing? Not really. Did I go around and tell everyone? Not really. And that was part of the thing. And then I thought, okay, so my next thing was I'd set about 4 or 5 Australian deadlift records, and I hadn't been beaten in 7 years by anyone at any weight division in the deadlift. So from 2000, I think, to 2007, no one in any weight division would beat my deadlift.
What's your heaviest deadlift today?
372.
372.
And I think I was at 104 or 105 kilos at the time.
And that was an Australian record at the time?
No, I actually did that in America, so I didn't count for anything. So in Australia, I pulled 365.
Yeah.
And I think 110. I went 375, and it fell out of my hand.
No.
At the top of it, pulled my hand apart. So it wasn't anything, it just tore my hand. I didn't have the grip strength. I'd stood up with it and it just literally opened my open hand. And then after that, I think I had an injury of something. So I had my first, I didn't have one injury till I was 31.
Wow.
Not one. And I'd train like an actual wanker.
Well, you said
Like-
maxing out 14 weeks straight.
But every week. No, for years straight.
For years straight.
Years
sorry.
straight. So every week I remember I'd get up and I'd have to squat 300 on the Monday and pull 320 or 340 on the Thursday. That was every week. And I'm like, I don't know, I wonder why I'd burnt out and killed so many training partners, why they all injured, they were gone. And that was, that was half the problem. And I could put up with the workload, and I don't know how, but they couldn't. They all ended up broken. And I'm like, I don't know why. Now, if I even thought of lifting like that, and I'll go into it later, my adrenal fatigue would flare up within a week. I even feel it now. If I go to pull it, I don't really deadlift much, not because I can't, but because it actually is hard on my adrenal system.
Right. Well, just touching back on something when you talk about you doing your own diet for that show. Obviously, the industry has changed so much now that we found that there's studies done. It's become a lot easier to diet. But back then, what would a bodybuilding diet consist of?
Yeah, it was like, okay, he who suffers the most wins. And look, I generally believe that to a degree now. The conditioning we used to see on stage back then, and this was the problem, we started to get to the point where guys were getting really unhealthy. I remember you'd have, a standard day for me would be a couple of eggs in the morning and a scoop of bran. And then every other meal was tuna and lettuce and white fish for dinner. And you'd have steak twice a week. In between that, you'd work a full-time job, right up to the show. You didn't have any time off, and you do your cardio in the morning, which is a walk. You do that. And back then we had access to ephedrine, caffeine, aspirin, which I actually believe was safer than a lot of the pre-trainers and shit we're using now.
Totally.
It was clean, you would take it, you would have good energy, and it was fine. And I remember getting so lean once that I couldn't shave my face properly. And I've got a fat head, so you can imagine how lean I was. I remember my mum crying and saying, "Oh my God, look at you now. All your stomach bones are showing." She's Italian, so she thought my abs were stomach bones. And I was like, "They're not bones, Mum." She's like, "Don't tell me." This is all in Italian, mind you. "Don't tell me, I know what stomach bones are. You look terrible." And I was like, "Thanks, Mum, that's really good." And I remember being as emotional like the last 2 weeks, like stopping at green lights, talking nonsense. I went to the shops once and I had $100 note and a piece of rubbish. And I threw the $100 note away. I went to pay with a bit of, like I wasn't, but when you got up on stage, I remember people going, "Oh my God, look how lean he is." And I remember saying, I remember my vision wasn't as good. And then I remember, having to get up out of bed to do my cardio, I would have 100 milligrams of pure ephedrine HCI sitting at the side of my bed, or else I did not have the energy to get out of bed in the morning. So I'd have that, I'd have a swig of Diet Coke, and within 15 minutes I'd be up, and by 2 o'clock in the day I was absolutely ruined. So then you'd start feeling miserable, take some more ephedrine, and then by 7 o'clock at night when you finish your next train and eat, but I couldn't sleep. I was one of those people that didn't sleep on a diet.
Did you have any heart issues?
Never.
Okay.
Never. I know. Speaking of that, obviously I was a bit naughtier earlier on. I went and did a 10-year heart test, which is a CT, I think it's a CT angiogram. So they take pictures of your heart underneath, stress, knots, whatever it might be. They said everything's exactly the way it should be. You've had liver, kidneys. They said the only thing is you've got less than 15% atherosclerosis on one. I go, but that could be 1% or 10. So it's not really anything. And my, cholesterol sits a bit high, but then that's been genetic in my family, like it's 6. So it's not anything different. And I think, you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, well, if I've had a 10-year test, that's fine. But that's what I was saying. But ultimately, that's what we used to do.
Right.
And, 15 grams, 20 grams of carbs a day and train. And then every month or so, you'd have a carb refeed. And I remember sitting in a car sweating. It was ridiculous. The way we dieted was insane.
Well, you just said one thing before as well. You said you were competing against what were known as sponsored athletes. So
Well, that was the first of the sponsored athletes. And I remember beating a guy at the Australasia. That was the IFBB show. And actually, that was the show that Graham Bennett, one of my business partners, a friend.
Big G, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that helped me diet for that. It was the first time he really showed me that you could eat carbs into a show, still get big, get super lean. And he basically looked after me. It was the best condition I ever made, and it was the biggest I ever was, by a mile.
Well, because you said sponsored athletes, and this is not like you use my 10% discount code.
No. That's a customer, by the way. That's not a sponsor. If you're getting sponsored and you're 10% off, you're not a sponsored athlete, you're a customer, so please don't tell people you are. And yeah, I'll talk about that later.
Understood.
When we get to that.
Because what I was just going to talk about, then is, you said you were working at the time. People would work all the way through.
Well, we'd work up to our show, and I remember walking
What did
into
you do
work.
for work?
Well, I owned a video store back then, the old Video Easy.
Good old days,
right?
man.
So you still had to be on your own, and it wasn't physical, but irrespective, I said, I chose to do this. So the first night I did, I was an arsehole. I broke up with my girlfriend, and I remember getting to the point we'd lie in bed, I'm like, don't touch me when I'm dieting. I don't even want to be touched. Don't put your arm on mine because it shits me. And she's like, you're a mental case. I'm like, well, I am. That's fair. I understand, but don't do it. The second time and third time, I understood it's no one's fault that you're dieting. This is the biggest thing I see. People want to tell the world they're dieting. I wouldn't say anything. You know what I mean? People are like, I'm dieting. I'm so tired. I feel shit. No one gives a
20
shit.
weeks out.
Yeah, no one gives a shit, mate. No one actually cares what you're doing. No one gives a shit about your diet. They care whether you're a good person or not. And they're like, oh, such low carbs. I'm like, you're 20% body fat. Shut the fuck up. Right? Stop talking about how hard it is when I can see it's not hard at all. And if it is hard and you're 20% body fat, don't compete, play darts.
It was funny. I had a really good quote from someone once. We were just talking about competing and stuff like that. That people don't compete, for bodybuilding anymore. They do it. It's a bucket list thing to take one good photo, to do 1,000 years of Throwback Thursday to that one time I competed. He said, if you want to do something for a bucket list, jump out of a plane, go bungee jumping.
True.
Same adrenaline.
True.
You get it once, and you move on.
Yeah.
This shit here is pretty tough.
And the thing is, what people don't realise is that you have these very small percentage of people that are doing it the right way. Right? Do it for the right reasons. And people go, oh, well, it's my reason. And I want to do it for me. You're a dickhead. You're an actual dickhead. You look like a dickhead. Up on stage, you're like, but I'm happy. But I'm like, in the scope of things, the world's going to put you where you should be.
Absolutely.
And then don't complain and bitch that everyone said you look shit. When you did look shit, and you're like, well, I'm happy. The only people that doesn't extend to is, and even then I wouldn't recommend it competing. Someone who's lost 40 or 50 or 60 kilos, hey, great stuff. You've done a great job. You've come down. I hope it's changed your life. I hope you understand. That's great. But don't walk on stage.
Totally. Well, I mean, there was one thing I remember. This was about 4 years ago. There was an A&B show when they used to be a thing. And this girl competed. She had lost about 40 kilos at the time, got on stage, probably had another 15 to 20 kilos to go.
Sure.
Now, did she do great for her? Absolutely. To lose that amount of weight's incredible, right? There'd be nothing left for me if I lost that kind of weight. But when she competed, the amount of backlash that happened from the die-hard bodybuilding fans, because she just looked so out of shape compared to everyone else. We're a very PC sort of world now. You can't say that, or that's not nice. But this is a subjective sport.
But why doesn't someone take her by the hand and go, honey, you've done a fabulous job. Good on you, power to you. But this is not for you.
You've already won.
You've done a great job. It's like me saying, I went and did 4 boxing classes, I need to box.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting your head punched in. And people go, I want to do it for me with my nose sitting over here. You know what I mean? You don't do that.
I was always saying, I love UFC, but I'm not going to try and fight John Jones.
But this is what I'm saying. And I'm like, we're not saying, and this is where it comes down to the peers to say, this is not for you. And even a promoter go, hey, this is great, but we need some guidelines as to what you need to be to compete. I really, you've done a great job, but this is probably not for you. This is the criteria you need to meet. Does that mean you're being discriminatory? I don't fucking know.
Right.
Is it? Probably. But at the end of the day, for me, it's like, what more do you need to prove? You've won, like you said. You don't need to do it anymore. Get off the stage and let people who are serious about it actually have a go.
And I just want to quickly make a note of that. This is not by any means hacking on anyone who chooses to compete.
Hey, and I've never said that.
Correct.
And if you want to, you can come and see me face to face, and I'll tell people. I've never said it. And coming from someone who was overweight,
absolutely.
Hey, I was 20 and 30 kilos overweight at some stage. But I never would get on stage because I knew what my place was.
Yeah.
And I know my place is not to do that. When people said, oh, Billy, you've lost a lot of weight, you look great, I almost got uncomfortable. So I'm like, what? Does that mean I'm good now and I was shit before?
Right.
And I've seen it before. I went overseas, and this is to go further on that. And this is how shit people can be. And people are like, I put on 30 kilos, going through a tough time. And I took it all off. Before I took it off, people were like, oh, Billy used to be really attractive. He looks terrible now. Like, well, does that mean obviously I'm not a good bloke anymore?
Yeah.
Then when I got lean again, they're like, oh my God, he's so good again. Look at him now. I'm like, what a load of shit. Was I ready to compete? I was 105 kilos at 6.9%. I looked good, but I was by no means a competitor. People are like, oh, you're going to get back on stage? Hell no. Not even close to that. So, short answer, are we bragging on anyone for losing weight? No. Am I saying you shouldn't get on stage? Yes. Don't get on stage if you're not stage ready.
Absolutely. And just to touch on that, look, with the natural shows, even the IFBB now, there are lots of divisions to cater for almost everyone.
Of course.
Except those who aren't ready yet. If
That's
you're
it.
not ready, you're not ready.
I said the stage light's either your best friend or your biggest enemy.
Totally. No, that's very true, and I think it's something a lot of people need to hear, because you're not saying that to hurt people, it's just the reality of it. If you get on stage and you don't look the way you probably should look, you're going to get a lot of backlash, right? Because people are very cruel, especially in the social media world, people are very cruel.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about supplements, because when you are getting ready for a show, I assumed you were using,
Yeah, well, back then, creatine was $100 a tub. I remember bought my first tub of creatine.
Wow.
It was 50 grams for $100, and the bloke that sold it, he goes, this is going to replace gear. And I was like, do I want to take too much? I'm looking at this white powder. I says, I got heroin, what is it? He goes, this stuff's replacing gear, don't use too much. And of course, being a non-responder to creatine did fuck all for me. I was like, good. I don't think it's going to replace anything, right? It's $100 down the toilet, literally. I think I shat my pants for 3 days. Sounded like a Harley Davidson.
Well, let's talk about getting Supps for the first time. What was the first supplement?
First up, Joe Weider's Mega Mass 2000.
Where'd you get that from?
I got it from a health store in Garema Place, right? I took it home, this big bucket. I seen a picture and it come with a training program. My mum cried. She thought I was taking steroids. Right?
That's every ethnic parent.
And all it did was make me shit. All it did was I shat more and got a bigger gut. That was it. But I thought if I take this, I remember it was 2,000 calories for, I forget how many, it was just like having just chocolate sugar.
Yeah.
It was dreadful, most dreadful. But I continued, and then I remember I had, I think it was some fat burner or liver tablets or something. Thought, that was just dreadful. And you realised, I remember they interviewed Lee Haney, the Mr. Olympia. It was on the Mike Walsh show. Your dads would probably remember who Mike Walsh was. You probably. And he'd come out and they go, so Lee, do you take steroids? He's like, no way, man. And I was like, if Lee Haney doesn't need them, no one does. So he opened up a tackle box and he had all these pills. And I'm like, that's how you do it. Lee Haney takes just those pills of the day. You know what those pills were, but I thought if Lee Haney doesn't take gear, I can make it through without taking gear.
I could do it with my $100 creatine.
With my $100 creatine for 50 grams.
So, where were you training at the time when you were getting ready for these shows?
I think my very first show, I got ready out of the old Fitness First Deacon, which used to be called Deacon Health Spa.
Right, so it's Fitness First Deacon.
Fitness First Deacon. I remember they had, when I first got there was one deadlift platform and some squat bars, and no one used them. By the time I left, I was writing programs for all the trainers, diets for everyone, and I probably shouldn't have been, but the reality was, this was the thing, if you looked that way and you were lifting that much, people thought, oh wow, this guy must know. We all want to squat now. So sure enough, within 2 years, they had 2 more squat racks there and they were always full, and you're always showing people what to do. And I suppose that leading into stuff is what got me into the whole fitness industry. Right. Being a kid who get told you're fucking stupid, you're fat, you're useless, you know what I mean? You never want anyone to feel like that. You want everyone, and I think that's where most of my compassion came from. I'm like, I don't want anyone to feel like I did. I don't want to feel like they're fat and useless and stupid. I want people to feel like, hey, someone wants to help me. And being a slow learner made it even worse. Like anything I get to do, it takes me 5 times as long. And that's why having the patience, people go, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. And I think that's what gave me the start in helping people within the fitness industry. And that's where the passion came from.
Right. You can see that your passion and generosity is really spilled out into the industry here in Canberra, especially here in Canberra. When were you at Southern Cross and Underground?
So I started PCYC in 86. I left there in about 98. Then I started at, 98. 98 I went over to Deakin Health Spa, and I think I finished there in 01. In 01 I went over to Underground, and I'd switch between Underground and Southern Cross. There was this I don't even say it on the trainer, she just didn't like me. So she would complain about me making noise, but I'd worked it out. I knew who it was. So one day she was in there, she just didn't like me lifting heavy, and I remember I think I was squatting 260, and I purposely kept my mouth closed and did not say a word, and I seen her walk past, and it almost broke my head off. And then I get the call from reception, "Hey Billy, you're making too much." I said, "Bullshit. I know it was. Tell her to fuck off from me." And that was it. And then people come and say, "Oh Billy, you can't say that." I'm like, no, I know if I'm making noise or not. And I know if I'm being intimidating, which is the last thing I do. You know, it's not in my nature to intimidate anyone or make anyone feel uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
So I'd go between Underground, which was really hardcore at the time. They had, really good boxers, and that was when I first did jiu-jitsu out of there. We had, BJJ out of there, and I'd go between there and Southern Cross. So and that finished in probably the end of 04, when I finished up at Underground, which was in Western, and was ready to, it took me a year to obviously open a league.
Right. And who was running Underground at the time?
That was Michael Hodkinson. So he was the guy who'd started pretty much Supps in Canberra.
Right, and that was through Planet Max, correct?
Through Planet Max, yeah, right. Correct. Michael was an interesting character, and I think his ego overtook him in the end. He could have been the most wealthy, well-known, Supps guru in Australia. He had everything. He had kickboxing shows. He had, I remember some of the figures. Some of his stores are doing. I remember one in Civic was doing like 25 grand a week back in the late 90s. Like you couldn't keep stock on the shelf. The guy was making more money than you knew what to do with it. And he would just go out and buy stupid shit like an oak table. And I remember, like for what? Why don't you just buy a normal fucking table and spend $500 instead of 10 grand? He's like, yeah, but think about it, we'll have board meetings. I'm like, you're a fucking retard, and I'm a retard. Why don't we just sit down and have a coffee and save ourselves 20 fucking grand? And this is you think people couldn't be that retarded, but they are. And obviously this is at the time when I was spending back in, this would have been 03, I was spending $1,000 a month on Supps back then, if not more sometimes. Because I'd take everything, I'd get the best protein, the best this, and I'd try everything that come out just because I loved it so much. That's what I lived for. And I remember, sorry, go on.
No, okay. Also, I was just going to say, because prior to that, you had a decent relationship with Michael.
I had a great relationship with Michael. And I mean, obviously through Planet Max and me, spending money there and being the number one customer and sending people in, and obviously I was really well known in the powerlifting, industry in Canberra as a lifter, and this guy's strong and he's a good fella and blah blah blah. And remember back then, I go out now and I'm not a small guy. I'm 5'11", 110 kilos. You go out back then and I was in really good shape at probably 105. People thought you were, it's like, who is this guy? Yeah, now people are like, it's another big guy. That gives you an idea of the progression in the industry.
Absolutely. Well, see, this was one area I wanted to touch on because I've got this story wrong, essentially, because I misheard, which is why I want to talk to you about it. But Michael started running a bodybuilding show, right, which was Muscle Mania.
Yeah.
I thought you had a bit to do with that, but I obviously got that wrong. What happened when Michael was running Muscle Mania?
So what happened was, it was obviously, he had a whole bunch of people, and Nick being one of them, and me and Nick get on really well then. We get on great now. We're probably the best friends. As we've grown up, and obviously both of us had a bit of ego, and we just don't give a shit about that now. We more laugh about that.
Yeah, well, Nick's might consider that you guys just being two alpha males that continuously butt heads.
Well, this is the problem. When you got two guys who won't take a step back, you're going to butt heads all the time. You know what I mean? It was just going to happen. That was just. And anyway, then unbeknownst to myself, Michael was a turd, And I'll touch more on that later because I've got nothing to hide. And I've already told him to his face. So for me, I don't hide anything, and I'm going to tell him, then I'll tell everyone else as well.
Right.
Because he's already been told. I don't give a shit.
And it's not just by you. From what I've heard, anyways, he's been told by a lot of people that
That's
used to
right.
work for him.
And this is what happened. So he's like, Billy, played the, poor me, and this is happening. These guys ripped me off, and me being me, thinking, oh shit, this is no good. You've been ripped off, and you've been so good to me. And he's like, they're taking the INBA show away from me. That was my lifeblood. And they're taking the boxing, and my gym's going bad, and I want to run a show. And I'm like, of course I'll help you run. Like, what do you want me to do? Oh, just get people to compete. Yeah, no worries. I'll get people to compete and do this. So I think it was 1 or 2 Musclemania shows that ran. But by that time, I think after about, it was 8 months of being there or 6 months of being within the group, I'll go through the whole story of what happened. You know what I mean?
Please do.
So what happened after these shows? We obviously owned a Video Easy store and a few others, and he said, mate, I'm going to close Underground Gym. It's not making any money. Oh, shit, this is really bad. Good bloke. And I said, well, let me run it for free. And what I'll do is, I'll see if I can pick it up. And if I can't, then we'll close it, whatever. You haven't lost anything, it hasn't cost you anything. I'll tip some money in if I need to get things going, but let me run it my way. Okay, Billy. But here's the thing, if I run it my way, you can't get involved. Sure, no worries. Okay. So I go in there, I start running, it's a fucking nightmare.
In what sense? Elaborate on that.
There's no morale in the staff, no one was happy, So this is the first time I was doing free PTs. I was ringing people, come in, train, do this, do that. I remember working sometimes around the clock. I wouldn't sleep. I'd take fat burners to keep me awake so I could go around the clock. So I absolutely flogged the guts out of myself. But in doing that, people started coming in. I employed more people. I got a mate of mine who was massage. It started to work. We'd clean it ourselves. I got one of my mates, Big Steve, he'd come and do all the cleaning so we'd have to pay. So $200 days turned into $2,000 days in the space of 4 months. I said, this is great. This is good. It's starting to move. He was happy. I was happy. I was dying, you know what I mean? Because I was paying myself out of my own store and profits are going in. Not that I cared. I thought, as it gets bigger, we'll become business partners. And his wife come in one day, his partner, whoever the fuck it was, I don't know. And she went off at some of the staff. This is not clean. I said, whoa. I said, hang on a sec. I rang her up and I said, dude, we don't do that. You don't come in and yell at people. That's not the way I do business. If there's a problem, tell me. We'll sit down, we'll work it out. Someone's, not legitimate. Anyway, it's like, oh, yeah, but I said, we can't do it that way. And he goes, and by the way, he said, we're not making much money. I said, but we can't be. I've seen what's going in the till. He's like, yeah, but you're spending too much on wages. I'm like, but I know what I'm spending on wages. I know what's coming in. So I tell you what, why don't we do the money together? And we'll see where it's going. Oh, no, I'll do the money. Motherfucker, you've been stealing from me. Right. So I said, I remember the late John Veron was there.
Yeah. And
he'd do his kickboxing. He's just having a laugh. And I said, Johnny, do you reckon Michael's stealing from me? And he's like, started laughing. What do you mean? What are you laughing for? He said, I was running the kickboxing shows. And he said, we were taking X amount for 800 or whatever people at the door. And when he took over, we were taking half of that. I was like, motherfucker. All right, so I said to the girl at reception, I want you to take a note of exactly what's kept taken at till. Write it down. Don't let anyone know. Let me know. All right. Write it down. Come out. Went to the week. I said, how much have we made? And I'm like, that's about $200 or $300 short a day. I said, you're a motherfucker. You've been stealing from me. I'm leaving today.
Wow.
So I walked out, and subsequently all the staff walked out. So members walked in the gym, and there was no one in the gym. They rang him up. They said, there's no one in your gym. And he's like, what do you mean? Well, everyone's left. I said, I'll get you for this. I'll get you because I come in with an open heart and did everything right. I suffered myself. I paid myself out of somewhere. I said, I'm going to do my own thing. And by that time, I was more than confident to do my own thing.
Well, you gained all that experience, obviously, working the hours that you were doing there to really have a good understanding of it. But you know what? That's awesome. Let's actually talk about that because you opened up Elite Physique.
Yes. So that was the biggest risk. I remember at the time talking to former business partners going, look, I want to have a crack at this. No one's ever done a gym in Canberra. I think it took me a year of research. No one had ever done a gym in Canberra with the best of everything. Most gyms go to one supplier for equipment and they get all their supplies, from one place. And you know yourself, each line has a good this, but a shit that, and a good this and a rubbish that, whatever it might be. And then they might have good cardio, but shit this. And so I said, I'm going to get the best trainers I know in Canberra. I'm going to get the best equipment I can. And it came from 4 different suppliers. So
wow.
The spend was astronomical. Back then, treadmills were like these rubbish things. We had treadmills with Foxtel on them and all this other stuff. People were blown away. It was the best facility in Canberra, if not Australia overall. We had a boxing ring. I had a former Olympic boxing person, the guy who boxed at the Olympics. We had all these amazing guys. We had, everything you could want in one gym.
Right. And who did you have training there? Like, who were the trainers when you first
So it was myself. I think we had a few guys from Southern Cross. I had Alan Romero, who's got his own gym. We had a bunch of these guys who were great at the time. I had, Jared O'Mahony, who boxed at the 2004 Olympics. We had some guys who'd run the first BJJ school in Canberra. I had myself. We had a massage guy. So essentially, I had, my partner at the time, Katrina Wilson, and she ended up being a junior world record holder in powerlifting and an oxygen cover girl, and all this stuff. She competed in figure. So essentially, back then, if you wanted to do figure, you could train. If you wanted to do bodybuilding or powerlifting or just train, we had the people there for it. So irrespective of what you do, but the thing was, it didn't work initially.
Oh yeah,
it was shit, absolutely shit. I thought I'd open the doors and there'd be a stampede, but it wasn't.
Why was that?
You know what? And I think it came down to advertising. I'd let one of my business partners, I said, you run it and I'll just work on the floor. You look after the back end. And obviously they had no experience in gyms and whatever it might be, so I don't think they knew what it took to run. I think they run it to the best of their ability, but I don't think so. We lost money in that place for the first few years, lost money.
Wow.
And then I remember I went to them and I said, listen, let me run it. I'll run the whole thing. And I said, but you've got to let me do it my way. I think it was 50 grand or 60 grand. I want to get some signage. The signage was shit. And at the time I knew everyone that comes here loves it, but no one's coming. And I remember I did the first time for bunny thing in Canberra. No one had done it before. And I remember I did 3 months for $33. I remember sitting there with a girlfriend at the time, and she said, can we go out Saturday? I said, no, I'm sitting at the gym, I need to work something out. If you want to come and hang out, you can hang out at the gym. If not, stay home. And I remember I go, people love it. But if I give them time, no one had ever done it. It's 3 months for $33. And I said, if I put it out there, once they've done their 3 months, I know they'll stay. And I thought, if I get 200 in the door, it's good. I remember the first night, the line went down the stairs and out the door.
Wow.
And one of the guys said, you better get in here, Billy. And I'm like, what have I done? We thought we'd have to close up. I had 1,100 people come in the door. And I think I had 350 join. And of course, I'm trying to fly under the radar, thinking I've hit it. I did 2 months for $22 later. And that basically took the gym from, I think, 1,000 members to 2,000, which made it super profitable. The unfortunate thing is, what it did to me in the next few years was basically gave me adrenal fatigue. I remember getting up one day and not being able to stand up, not being able to sleep. So obviously I didn't look after it the way it should have been near the end, which was, and that goes obviously on to different things later.
What were your hours like at the gym, Billy?
I still remember them.
Yeah?
I still remember them. So you've got to remember, here's someone who ran a gym, and this is what I say to these people, who think, I'm just going to go run a gym. I just get to walk around and give high fives and, you know what I mean? This is how I run one. That's easy. I remember running a gym, doing 10 PTs, 7 to 10 PTs a day, plus the running of the gym, plus organising promotion, plus doing all the things I needed. So I remember Monday morning, I would be up at 4:30, I'd get to the gym at 5:30, I'd leave at 9 at night. So I remember I was training like an elite level athlete, doing 8 PTs a day of an hour to 10, plus running a gym. And I did that for, I think it was 5 or 6 years straight. Tuesday, I'd work from 10 till midnight, because we'd open till midnight. Wednesday was 5:30 in the morning till 7 at night. Thursday was 7 till 7, and Friday was 7 till 7. And I remember Saturday, I'd work till 4 o'clock. By the time Saturday night come around, I couldn't do anything. And I partly blame that for breaking up a relationship as well. It was very, very hard on everyone.
Well, I think that's got a lot to do with running a small business. You understand that no one will ever either love your business or work as hard as your business as you will.
It's impossible.
And when you're doing what you're trying to do to make it work, how do you even have time for a relationship?
Well, the problem is it gets harder. It takes a very, very understanding, strong person, female, male, whatever way it is, to understand, because you know yourself, to be the best at something, you almost have to be selfish. If you want your gym to be the best gym around, you almost have to be selfish. That's all you can think about. If you want balance, don't open a gym.
I think there's a lot of people that need to hear that. But let's just go back 2 steps. You said when you opened up the gym, you wanted to sort of be have the best of everything. No one had ever done a supplement store inside of the gym before.
No, not in Canberra, not anywhere. I think I'd seen, there was a little tiny health shop. I went past a gym in Campbelltown, and they had this healthy thing. I'm like, no, we need a Supps store. And I remember that Supps store, because there wasn't many stores in Canberra, was super profitable.
How many were there at the time of you opening that one?
2. There was just the Planet Maxes.
Right.
And then you had our store in a gym, and you'd have people coming in there all the time. And to be honest, that Supps store was way more profitable than what the gym was, which was ridiculous. You'd never understand that. The gym was losing money, the Supps store was making money. It was crazy.
That's insane. I actually never knew that. So, looking at the supplements and stuff like that, how many stores did you guys open up when you were a part of the...
I think it was 6 or 8. I think there was one in Perth and one in South Australia, and then I think there was 5 or 6 in Canberra.
Yeah, right.
So that's where, I remember starting that. I remember me and Big Steve Sugars, who's been with me since the start, he was involved with another company called Bronx. So he was basically the lifeblood of us learning how to write a price list and how to import something. So he was the one who gave us the know-how. And these are all the little people that you don't hear along the way. Without Steve, there would have been no permits, no anything coming. He knew exactly how to do it. The guy's a genius when it comes to importation.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about distribution, because so now you've got the gym. So you've still got the video easies. You've got the gym, you've got the supplement store, and you guys got into distribution. So
what happened was, I'll tell you the funny story. So Big Steve was bringing in some muscle juice. White muscle juice, it's still around.
Good old muscle juice.
Good old muscle juice, right? So Steve brought a few of those tubs in, I think from some place overseas, I forget where it was. And we put them on the gym floor. And I thought, this looks so poxy. But it was amazing. The thing sold out. We bought 12 tubs, sold in a week. Like, shit, that's all right. Get some more. He brings in another 20. They sell out again. People are like, this is amazing. This ultimate nutrition stuff's amazing. I was like, Jesus. So then we spoke, and I said, is anyone distributing this in Australia? And I think it was Nutrition System started, then stopped. So we fired off a letter, said, do you have a distributor? No, we're looking for one. So sure enough, I think we flew over, we had a meeting with them. They said, yep, you're on. And I think our first order was 1.5 pallets. I think it was all 2 pallets. It was like 18 or 24 grand. And we worked out of a place in Mitchell, and it was a quarter of a TNT depot or whatever it was.
Right.
And there was one person there, and Graham had found a rep who used to be a Max's rep. So he came across with us, and that was it. It started from there, and then from there, I think some of the biggest months were almost $1 million a month. They were absolutely enormous. You know what I mean, on your biggest month. So, and it was a really good business. But was it through virtue of us being smart? No, it was just the right place at the right time. I tell it the way it was. We weren't smart about how we did things. We, in fact, were fucking stupid. We could have done it a whole lot better. But it is what it is. If you're in the right place at the right time and you take the opportunity, that's just the way it is.
Between the gym, the supplement stores and distribution, what were you the most passionate about?
Always the gym. For me, I suppose, my moral compass basically works on helping people. If money's a byproduct of that, good. Obviously you need money to live, but I wasn't always the one to think, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. Because ultimately, as you get older, you realise that, yes, money's okay, but it's just a vehicle. And we all have more than what we need.
I remember you always telling me that it was, money will come. Just be a good person, stick true to what you're doing, money will come.
And the money will come, and what you realise in between all that, you're not panicked. And you think, I'm still having a good time, nothing really changed. And my rules for business were this: work harder than anyone else. People go, Billy, I want you to mentor me. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? I don't even know what I'm doing myself. What do you want me to mentor you? I'm, you know, if you ask me, I can tell you what mistakes I've made. If you want mentoring, I'm shit at it. And they said, what have I got to do to go good in business? I said, yeah, I'll give you 3 things. If you follow these, you'll always be okay. 1, work harder than anyone else. So much can be said, and this is what shits me. Most people go, I'll work harder. Like, how hard do you really work? And you break it down, the majority of people don't really work that hard. In fact, they're lazy as fuck. Right? So they go, I tell people, work harder than anyone else. The second one is constantly innovate. Remember, for every 10 innovations you have, or 15, maybe 1 will work.
Yeah.
Don't get discouraged. Right? And the last one is genuinely love people and be good to people. If you don't have all 3 at 100%, it can't work. Because if you work the hardest but you're a shit box to people, right? Okay. No one will care, and guess what? You're going to be a lonely motherfucker with generally no money, and you innovate. Which is what happens to a lot of good business people. They make this money, right? They drive around in their Ferrari by themselves because no one cares about them. And when they ask for help or something goes bad, people do this to them.
Yeah, totally.
And if you don't work hard but you're good at innovating and you're good to people, well, you can sing Kumbaya and go sit in the fucking forest because you're not making any money, motherfucker.
So we have a lot of people like that we won't mention, but yeah, absolutely.
And the other one, which is the most difficult, is when people work hard but they don't innovate and they're good to people. And I think I'm closer to that. Like, I need to be more innovative, and I've noticed myself, you make money, but you've always got more potential. A lot of it comes from fear of like, oh, I don't want to do that. You'll generally find the people that can do all 3 are the ones that are the most successful.
I think, with you being honest about it, it's very difficult to excel in all 3. So you
really hard.
So you just focus on what you are good at. And the third one that you said really shouldn't be as hard as it is for a lot of people.
Because what happens is, you know yourself, you put, you know, I'm speaking for males, you put a female or money in front of someone, you'll see people's true character very quickly.
Absolutely. Well, we were just going to talk about that little bit right there, about you saying that third one. You obviously lifted underground from what it was doing to what it was during that time. You ended up almost doing the same thing at Elite. You created the first real gym culture, if we can call it that.
True.
You know, it was, I wouldn't say necessarily hardcore, but you found a lot of passionate trainers, you know, people training in there, and they ended up excelling. If you look at them where they are now, top level bodybuilders, top level powerlifters, stronger. You created that culture. Was that something you really tried to focus on, is making this gym that place?
Well, remember, you had a lot of young guys coming through who aren't so young now. You're talking, it was, 14 years ago. So guys who were 17, 18 now are in their early 30s. Yeah. And a lot of them come from, you know, we'll not say troubled, but they were just a bit, you know, they could have gone either way. They could have stayed on the track or gone off the rails. And they were good kids though. And they're the kids that you want to mentor and go, hey, don't fuck it up, behave yourself, come here and lift, I'll be here for you. And they obviously, a lot of them didn't have strong father figures. And I was probably 30 at the time. You know what I mean? And when you mentor these people and you legitimately care, what you find is they turn into good humans. And this is the problem I find with a lot of males. They don't mentor the young guys like they should. Whereas my idea was, no, don't do what I did. Don't do the fuck ups. The fuck ups, I don't want you to do the good stuff. You keep doing that. And that's what created the culture. Then you had these guys who took this work ethic and business ethic and gym ethic and whatever it is and took it into everyday life, which is really what the gym should have all been about. Totally. Bettering yourself. You know what I mean? Not taking a picture of your asshole on Instagram.
Isn't that just the way? But let's talk about that element of you mentoring all these guys, because Elite became a really, it was the gym in Canberra at the time.
It almost become its own worst enemy. The problem was it wouldn't grow past where it was. And the reason was, I put the question out there, and it became, I remember asking some female friends, and they're like, I'm not going to Elite till I'm good enough. Yeah. Whereas that's not what I wanted to create. But ultimately, by having people who got really good, that's what you did create. That's all the good-looking people train. I'm not going to Elite because I'm not good enough. Whereas I'll be like, no, this is why you want to be here. Get better, come and see us. It's, you know, and I remember having 60-year-old females and 20-year-old bodybuilders training in the same room, and no one gave a shit. The problem was once again, was getting them in the door so they could see that.
Perception, right?
Some people just would not make that step because I thought, no, I don't want to go in there, this is too much.
Well, I'll say this right now. I was 16 or 17 at the time. Now, this is how Indian I am. You ran a deal which was $10 for 10 weeks. Do you remember that? It was $10 for 10 weeks. That is fucking music to my ears. So I was like, I was intimidated to go to Elite because I had the exact same mentality. You know, I was not good enough. I was 53 kilos, uglier than I currently am. It just didn't seem very appealing until I heard $10 for 10 weeks. I was there like that.
Yeah, good.
First day I was there, I was training chest with a friend of mine who was actually doing work experience. Thankfully not the one that had his feet up on the table.
No.
This was a little... Mark was doing work experience at your gym.
Did Mark also do work experience?
Yeah, 2011 I believe. Yeah, 2011 we were at Canberra College.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, you got to come here, man. You know, Billy's the nicest. You wouldn't remember, all Asians look the same, I understand.
Yes,
but, but anyways, we were training chest and you walked into the gym and no doubt my chest is shit. So I was obviously doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But you didn't intimidate me. You said, hey buddy, why don't you try it like this? Let me show you. It was cable flies. I was doing it top to low. You said, why don't you try it low to high? Most people lack this part of their chest. Let's try and build that up. I didn't have to pay for that.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing was, like I said, there's a lot of young kids walk in. And I suppose when you see yourself and you look at yourself every day and think, oh, I'm just a normal person. But if you walk around somewhere and you're 110 or 100 and you walk around, doesn't mean, you know, it's very hard to have a smile on your face constantly. But if you walk around normally, you think, well, that bloke's intimidating. Even my current partner, I said, why would you talk to me? So she's like, you looked really intimidating. I'm like, but how? She's like, you just did. You're really big, and when you trained, you were serious. And I'm like, but I don't understand it, because in my head, I'm thinking, oh, just go and have a train and hi. She goes, well, obviously when I got to know you, or you come over and said hello, it was completely different. But, you know, that was the kind of thing that I would try to take out, and especially with the young boys. And I don't remember, like, people have called me up and said, oh, I remember when you helped me out, and remember when you come, and I was like, no. But you know you're on the right path, from my perspective, is when young guys go, hey, Billy, I was a bit intimidated, and you come and help me out. And see, that was what meant the most to me. When a young guy says that to me, go, I remember, you know, you don't know me, but I remember you helping me, I'm like, that makes it more worthwhile than any money, any car I've owned, any house, anything, because I think that bloke there got a really nice experience with me.
Well, mate, you were everyone's best friend, and that was the thing, is as a young kid, I could leave the gym that day going, I just want to come back. Like, we'll get into this a little bit later, but there are a lot of the times, especially in small business now, where people want to be known as the owner. It's an authoritative figure.
Like that.
But they want to have that figure. Oh, yeah. I own this. You were never like that. You just wanted to help people. You wanted them to have a good experience at the gym, and then hopefully, you know, it would go.
I remember that many ladies who come in and go, "Oh, help me!" And they go up to the front and go, "Who are you?" And I said, "I just work on the floor. Tell me you had a good experience with Billy. I'm a trainer here." And they walk up to the counter and go, "Oh, that guy, that Billy guy, the trainer. Can you tell the boss he's okay?" I'm like, "That's the best, because what the fuck does it matter if I own it or not? You're not there to tell people you're the owner. You're there to help people. You're not selling anything, you're giving a service."
Well, I mean, you certainly were a real leader in the industry and still are today. One thing I want to talk about was the bodybuilding shows that were going around at the time. So I don't think Michael was as involved with them anymore. Nick Bootsos.
So Nick ran all the shows.
Right, Nick ran the shows, and the main gyms at the time were Elite Physique and Southern Cross.
Oh yeah, it was a big thing.
I remember
massive. It was like a war. But you know what, looking at it, that was a golden era.
100%. Yeah.
Like, as much as it was a war, it was like, we're going there to win, we're going there this. And I remember you'd have over 1,000 people. Like, it was jam-packed in the Hellenic Club. And if they announced someone, you know, whatever it was, a Southern Cross, people went mental. That was it. It was amazing. And it was like, look at it. And, you know, and you'd have little digs at each other. It was great. But that's what it was all about.
But it created amazing gym culture, because everyone had a purpose, and anyone that was a bodybuilder, you know, you had such a supportive network to we're going to get to that show, we're going to get it, we're going as Team Elite and Team this, and you know, it was, everyone wore it with pride. Absolutely, because my first ever experience at a bodybuilding show, 2011, it was at Southern Cross at the time. Jam-packed. None of my friends wanted to come. Bodybuilding, that's fucking gay, man.
It's a shit sport. Why would you go watch guys on stage with their undies?
Right. I mean, I got through the door, and you and Steve Sugars were at the front of the door. You were just sort of crammed into the corner.
Yeah.
I'm like, you stand with these guys.
Yeah.
Didn't say nothing to no one, but just experiencing the vibe of that you're right, 1,000 people selling out. So, fuck, man, there have been shows that we've been to in recent years that get, about half of that, if we're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah.
If you're lucky. And that, by no means are they poorly run or anything like that.
No, it's just the nature of what's happening.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
What was it like having these people in your gym? Because bodybuilders are a dying species now, aren't they?
But this is what I'm saying is, it wasn't bodybuilding as such, and I think social media not being as big as it was, you had that one shot. There was no progress pics, there was no nothing, everyone kept it hush-hush. It was like you had your own little subculture and community. So everyone was supportive, everyone was behind you. It was amazing. And I know people use the term, it was like that real electrifying feeling.
Yeah.
Like you went away as a team. You wanted everyone to know you were part of Team Elite or, Southern Cross or whatever it was. You know what I mean? Totally. And you knew that they were the enemy. And it wasn't really like that, but you know what I mean? It was full on.
Proper healthy
people were like, this is the way it is. You're going over there, we're going over here.
I remember, God rest his soul, to his dying day, Harry would refuse to step foot in your gym.
Hated it.
But you did everything right at the end. You're like, what are we? It is what it is. It was healthy competition. Anytime you see him, you go say hi.
Yeah, he wouldn't talk. But you know what? That was just the way. And I mean, he was a generation behind me, and that's the way it was there.
Yeah.
If they were at that gym, you didn't talk to him. He was the enemy. Whatever happened, it was. Did I dislike Harry? Not really. Did I like him? No.
Yeah.
Didn't like him, and I didn't dislike him. It was like, whatever, that's just the way it is.
Totally.
But you know what I mean? Was he a pioneer? Did he do a lot of things for Canberra? Of course he did. Did massive amounts. So you know what I mean? I respect him from that end, but did we like each other? Yeah, probably not that much.
Yeah.
Did we tolerate each other? Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. I mean, that's the thing with Harry, God rest his soul. I mean, you either loved the guy or you tolerated the guy.
Yeah, that's all it was. You couldn't hate him, you just tolerated him. It's just Harry.
It's just Harry, that's exactly it. Well, I think when Harry sort of stopped competing, the real culture in Southern Cross, it died.
Yeah.
And Elite, at the time, for a little bit, was it was the bodybuilders gym until Golds came around. Now, when Golds came around, they came in doing exactly what you were doing, right? They had a gym, they had their own supplement store, and they ran their own distribution.
Sure.
What was that like with them coming into the industry?
Look, I think that created the biggest rift, and I think you had a new generation of guys come through, younger guys, who were really cocky, who tried to play the game of we're here, we're taking over. And I remember reading a Facebook post going, Elite's going to go the way of everything else, we're the future, we're everything, blah, blah, blah. And I said...
Openly saying that?
Open on a public forum, right? And I thought, well, we'll see about that. Because I didn't get to where I was by just being walked over by, an upstart. It doesn't matter how much money you got. Because I know the problem was you seen the way they actually behaved. It was the behaviour. And the behaviour, to me, always says it dictates that it cannot last. And that's why I said, if we just hold on and do exactly what we're doing, we'll be fine.
Was it ever an area when they came in that you guys suffered a little bit?
Well, you always suffer a little bit, but then you find it just in a circle. I mean, the most annoying part for me, I had, one of their dickhead managers ringing my actual members, going, come over, leave Elite. And I just went, no, this is not on. And this is what I say, this is where there's snowflake. And I'm like, fuck that, I'm going to go over see him face to face. And basically, in no uncertain terms, said, mate, if you keep doing that, I'll be back here again.
What were they like when you confronted them about it? Because I do remember me more so actually growing up in that generation.
Same as everyone when you confront them. You know what I mean? Same as the majority of people who are wankers when you confront them. Face to face or a pussycat when you leave them, like, I fucking told him what was going on. And I'm like, do you want me to come back again? And I by no means saying I'm tough or a hard man or everything, like, that's not the way to treat people. If you're a decent human, and what you find is most of the hardest guys in the world are the most reasonable.
Totally. They'll
be sitting there going, hey, can we work this out?
Well, no one wants a fight.
No one wants a fight, no one wants confrontation. But obviously there's a time where it has to happen. And for me it was like, no, you can't treat me like that. I'm not a piece of shit, I'm a man. And in order for me to be like that, you can call it whatever you want, that's what's going to happen.
Right. Because you guys, I mean, it almost felt like every time you were doing something good, someone always had to have, their 2 cents about it.
Of course it was. And the thing is, like I said, it's the same old thing. When you're actually enjoying yourself and you're making money and you're enjoying stuff, people, I don't understand why people can't stand it. My always thing is, if you're a fuckwit, you're a fuckwit. If you're a fuckwit with 1 cent or $20 million, you're still a fuckwit. The problem is, and this is what I find in Canberra with little subcultures, everyone had something to say about me, and it still happens now. Everyone wants to know if I take a shit, who I'm seeing, how I'm seeing them, which girl I'm talking to, which person. And like for me, it's like, I can't be that, like it's ridiculous. What does it matter? What does it matter what I do or anyone does? People come up to me and go, you know so-and-so's doing blah, and I'm like, yeah, so what? How does that affect me? I don't give a shit. The problem is this is what we had, and obviously being in the limelight a lot of the time, that's the problem I have. Oh, Billy's this. I'm thinking, okay, fair enough. It's a nonsense. And it still is a nonsense.
It happens a lot, doesn't it? I think, for better to worse, people get very bored, don't they? You know.
Well, the reality is most people are unhappy.
Yeah.
People, I mean, if I had to go on what people tell me on Facebook, everyone is the happiest they've ever been, right? Which we know is a big bullshit. But the majority of people are really unhappy. They're really unhappy, and what they want to do is, because they're unhappy, they want to take it out on someone else or do something. They want to make themselves either feel better or someone feel worse, and then they're okay. Just if he's fucked it up, then I'm happy. I'm like, how do you live like that? Totally. Like, I've never been able to live like that.
I almost felt like that was the business strategy from them. Every time you guys did something that seemed positive, it was, no, we've got to spin that on a negative light to make them look like the bad guys.
You know what I mean? And look, I don't have a problem with the guys from Gold's now. If I see them in the street, if I spoke to one of them, I don't have a problem with them. And to be honest, I spoke to one of the owners a couple of years ago, and he was, we had a really good chat after it all settled down, and he said, Bilza, he said, I really fucked it up. And I was like, oh, okay, mate, what happened? He said, everything I touched turned to gold initially. And it did. Mate, they would have been 20 times more successful. They were doing way more than what we were doing at Elite through distribution. And honestly, the guy had a fucking phenomenal business brain, one of the guys. Phenomenal. He just couldn't back it up with all the other stuff. And it's not me talking out of line, it's what he told me.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to manage it all, and I just kept throwing money and all. And that's him telling me. Do I feel, bad? I'm like, I kind of felt bad for him in the end. I'm like, fuck hell, you know what I mean? This is not the nicest, you know what I mean? But at the time, I'm like, I want to burn you if I get a hold of you.
Yeah.
But that was just the nature of what they brought to the table. I suppose had they have come to the table and said, we're going to do our best and run it, the normal way, I think they would have done a lot more damage doing it that way than the way they did.
Yeah, it was absolute anarchy at that point, wasn't it?
It was crazy.
Yeah. But, I mean, from where they were to where they are, it's all gone now.
It's gone.
Just like
and what
that.
I'm saying is it's the same with any big business. So I look at anything, and when you've got big business, you've got big overheads. With big overheads, you're not making money. It can go from 100 to 0 very, very quickly.
Do you think if they just stuck to one thing?
If they would have stuck to one thing, their distribution, and not poured so much in the gyms, they would have done it the right way, they would have been worth 50 million now.
Wow. Yeah.
That's my personal opinion. Whether they would, but judging on what they were doing and how they were getting across things, they would have been absolutely killing. They would have been the biggest. They would have been up there with the biggest distributors in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had some pretty big brands.
Well, they had the biggest brands. They had all GAT, they had Cytec. They were telling me they went to go for a thing for Quest bars and they got pissed the night before and didn't turn up. Or, there's one of the really funny stories. I'm not that funny now. I wasn't, funny at the time, but the guys, and honestly, they made us look lame in terms of their innovation.
Yeah.
If you had Elite versus the Golds boys, their innovation was amazing. I just don't think they capitalised on it the way they should have.
Hungry young guys, right?
They were amazing. And they weren't dumb by any stretch. They were super bright.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. They weren't dumb by any stretch. They were super bright guys with good business brains. They just didn't execute it the way they should have.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you touched on it a little earlier today, where I could only imagine how fatigued you would have felt. You'd probably just gone from raising one gym to another. You opened up this gym. You finally got that working. Now you're into Supps. You're into distribution. This is all time that accumulates that you have to continuously work. Now, when you think you're at a good point, now another gym, another distributor.
Anything happened, yeah.
How did you? Is that what sort of happened? You just got too fatigued?
Well, I remember I got up in one day, and I remember I got up out of bed, and everything was spinning, and I remember feeling like that feeling of when you first get out of bed and you're a bit zombied, but that's how I felt all day. But when the night came to sleep, I would sleep 2 or 3 hours. And literally couldn't keep myself. I felt like crying all the time. Like I felt awful. You couldn't, and I think that's where the decision came to I can't keep doing this, or I'm going to fall apart. My training was shit. I felt shit. I just I had, a bunch of other health issues had showed up, And I thought, oh, it's my competing days. It's when I took this and when I took that, and I'm almost a hypochondriac. I know it was this and I know it was that. It wasn't any of that. It was just me being my body going, hey mate, it's enough now. Right. You're 37 years old. You've been doing 1 rep maxes for 20 years, and you've been working 12-hour days and longer constantly. Motherfuckers thought that I just walk around and talk to people on the floor until it come time for them to run gyms.
Yeah, and we'll get into that quite shortly. But I would ask you, was it tough leaving your family? Because they were your business partners.
Look, it's always tough when you have a breakup or a divorce or anything like that. Of course it's tough, and there's a massive adjustment that you've got to go through. Mentally, it was a really big adjustment. What I find is, when your moral values don't align anymore, and sometimes they can change as people get older, I'm more of the opinion that for me, people came first, not money. So for me doing business, I always think I'd rather look after people. If the money comes good, if it doesn't, I'll always be okay. So I think that made a big difference. And then going out on your own, you basically have to start again. And when you start again, you learn so much about yourself. I learned more about myself and running a business and doing it all my own, and realised, what I couldn't do. And what I've realised is I can do a lot more than what I think. Has it been hard? Of course it's been hard. Has it been rewarding? Probably the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. What place am I in at the moment? I'm probably in the best place I've been in terms of mentally. Is there still a lot of work to do? Of course. But like I said, it is very hard, and it was. But like I said, when your values don't align anymore and you feel like you've got to go your own separate way, it's the same with a divorce. Divorces are never nice. One person always suffers more than the other. And what you realise in the end is you can either take it one way. You can either take it the way of like, I'm so angry, I'm annoyed, I'm this, or you can take it as an opportunity and go, I'm happy for you to do this, I'm happy to do that. Right. And when you're happy overall, and you're not just saying it, but you're legitimately happy for someone to do their own thing, and you're happy to do your own thing, then there should never be any friction between you. Right. So that's the point of where I'm at now. I'm happy what I'm doing, and looking forward, you know what I mean? I don't know what the future brings. But what I do know is I'm equipped to deal with it now.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, you virtually had to start.
Well, I was basically from scratch.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there going, wow, I literally have nothing.
Yeah.
What do I do? I've got no stores, no this, no that. All I knew I was good at was, I knew about Supps, I knew about a store. I had a few key guys who said, hey Billy, we want to back you, we're with you all the way.
Cool.
And a few key guys said, we want to back you, and that's no way, shape or form disrespect to anyone. It's just the way it is. Sometimes children stay on one side of the family, sometimes children are more aligned to the other. It's just the way it was. And now, like I said, King Ape's looking at doing a whole bunch of different things. I can't go into them too much at the moment, but it's good. Do I know whether they're going to work or not? No. Do I think they're going to work? Yeah. Am I trying other things as well? Yeah, and I love it because I can now. It's good.
Well, it's good you have that freedom. You said that out of the 3 things you guys were doing, the thing you were most passionate about was the gym. What was it like selling the gym?
Look, for me, selling the gym was, in one way, it was like a massive weight off my shoulders. Another way, it was almost like I was heartbroken because I knew deep down inside, look, I knew the people that took it over. One of them was great. Belinda was lovely. Dan, I don't really think I had much time for. And to his credit, he apologised for the way he behaved. Do I still think Dan should have been running a gym? No way. Do I think, the way, and I think Belinda, like I said, I've never had a problem with Belinda, but the way it was run, what I said was a total disgrace at the start. Yeah. When you've got someone and you go, here, I'll let you off X amount of thousands of dollars because we want you to do some marketing, we want you to do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. And you've got someone that comes and tells you, I counted 98 plates in the heavy weights room, there was 100 on the form. Yeah, so why the fuck are you coming to tell me for? I don't know where they've gone. Who did you sell them to? What do you mean? Why would I sell 2 plates to someone? Well, where have they gone? I paid for the gym with 100. Okay, would you like the money for 2 plates? Yes. You're fucking retarded. sorry, you have a mental illness with money. I shouldn't say, because that's offensive to retarded people. That's offensive. You have an issue with money, and you're socially fucking incompetent and socially bankrupt. So you want me to give you $100? I give you $100 for 2 plates after I let you off 20 grand, right? That was the first part. The second part was this. How do you walk around the gym and say to people, hey, how you going? Just wondering, hi, I'm blah, I'm the new owner. What the fuck is that? How stupid are you? Obviously stupider than what you thought you were. Right? This is the first problem. The second problem is the way you treat people. If you can't communicate with people in a nice and orderly fashion, don't go to anything that involves retail. If you can't be nice to people and actually be genuine and be compassionate, why the fuck are you running a gym? Go run a garbage factory. Go compact garbage. Go do something where you don't have to see anyone. Why would you run a gym if you're that socially inept, socially like backward? Don't do it.
Backward's probably the best way to put it.
Don't tell someone they can't use 2 slices, two bloody sheets of toilet paper. Use 1 or 2 sheets of this. Don't do that. And look, to his credit, he apologised for being a moron. But do you change being a moron? I don't know. I can't speak.
Just so everyone knows, everything Billy has said is fact. So this is not you hacking on someone. These things were fact.
No, I told him to his face. I told him to his face he was no good.
I remember going into the bathrooms at Elite one time, and when you talk about the 2 sheets of toilet, there was a sign. You know, there was a sign in the change rooms asking you to limit the amount of toilet paper.
Does that mean I have to limit the amount of shit that I do? Like, what do you do? This is what I'm saying. When you do that to people, here's the thing. You create instant dislike towards people. Instantly dislike you. It doesn't matter what you do. You know what I'm saying? And then don't bullshit to people about how good you are and how good it is and all this. I hate bullshitters. If you ask me, Billy, how are you going with money and everything? I'm okay. I pay my way. I've got enough to go out for dinners, and I've got enough to put aside. I don't sit there and go, Viv, I'm killing it. Yeah. I've got too much money. No one gives a shit. And what is too much money anyway? You know what I mean?
I've yet to meet someone with too much money.
No, I've never seen someone with too much money. You know what I mean? So this is the thing, and I wasn't happy with that. So that's what killed it for me, and that's when basically I felt really uncomfortable walking back in there ever again. Because I'm like, you've basically taken something that I've loved, and you've turned it into this thing. And not only that, you're trying to tell people, and you're trying to tell people that I'm not there anymore, and this is a new show, and this is a new this, and look at me. No one gives a shit, mate.
And I think that was definitely the wrong way to go about it. So at the time this was happening,
I was really annoyed with that, because I'm like, at the same time I was going through, obviously a breakup, in business and family, and then I've got someone behaving like this. Yeah. That really annoyed me.
And the unfortunate thing was, it was almost an everyday thing. I remember after the breakup, I was actually running the supplement store that was inside the gym at the time. It was my first full-time job. It didn't last very long because of the new owner that took over. It was an everyday thing where he made it very clear that Billy was no longer here. And I just thought that was unnecessary.
Well, they'll cop it everyone. Everyone would go, what's wrong with him? Why would he keep saying that? And I'm like, I'm not, but what's the actual problem? Like, what is the actual problem? And look, this is no way, and to her credit, Belinda, you would say to me, Billy, I'm really sorry for that. And I said, that's fine. And to his credit, I'll give credit where it's due. He messaged me one day and said, Billy, I'm sorry for the way I behaved. I didn't realise what I was getting myself into running a gym. Yeah. That's okay. And that's what I'll say about that. But did it change? I don't know. I didn't hang around to find out after. And I don't think many people did. No. Did it work for him in the end? I don't know. And it's not really my business. As far as I'm concerned, it was only Elite Physique when I ran it. It was never going to be Elite Physique when anyone ran it. You can run it how they want. Elite Physique's not anyone else but Billy. Absolutely. And that's not me saying, hey, look at me, but it wasn't. What I built in there and the culture that I wanted never ended up there in the end.
Yeah, well, I think you were very accepting, Billy, of anyone and everyone. You wanted everyone to come in, have a nice time.
Sure.
Unfortunately, it didn't really go down that path after you left. And I mean, I apologize if I use this forum quickly to just...
No, that's fine.
Right, because I had a very tough experience there after you left. And what I do say now, these are complete facts, by the way. So I by no means am slagging anyone outside of what actually happened. And I have a lot of people that can confirm this story. Now, I was studying full-time at university, finishing off my double degree. I was working 2 jobs, Radford College, Elite Supps, and my own clothing business, which you helped with, Legacy Apparel. Now, I went on holiday with my family come December. And what I found out from your brothers was Dan had called them and said, oh, we need to get Viv out of the supplement store. Viv and Nick need to get out of there. They're not a good look. What Dan wanted was someone else to take
obviously his expertise of running the 50 sub stores that he had in the past.
So
his business acumen.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, his genius move was to get one of the guys he was currently paying for gym floor to go into the supplement store. So because he was a much better worker than I was, without ever communicating with me and really talking, much better than I was. I was a terrible look for the store. Yeah. Now, your brothers did the decent thing and they sort of told me and said, hey, Viv, Nick, this is what's happening, just so you know. Nick decided he didn't want anything to do with it. He said, you know what, I don't have much time for the guy. I really like Belinda, don't have much time for him after that. I'm going to go off and work another store. Viv, you can work this one full time, you can manage it. I thought to myself, you know, I've grown up with a lot of people talking shit about me. What's one more person going to do? It's not that bad. Now, during that time, he became very, I got to see how money orientated the guy was. We'd pay rent there each week. We had a staff member, Michael, who used to...
I think it bordered on an illness, personally.
Right.
I think it borders like, you can have a lot of people who are really money orientated and that's good. They want to run it that way and they run a tight ship. But when you take it to a point of where it becomes irrational, like completely irrational, you know that there's a problem.
Yeah. Well, this is sort of what happened. It was, you know, he was just a compulsive liar when it came to a few things. And there was no support that I was getting from the gym to make that supplement store work. It always felt like, you know, we were a nuisance being there, paying you rent to be there, but we were a nuisance, we were an inconvenience.
Yes.
Now, what happened was Gold's Gym at the time was sponsored by a brand called ANS Performance. You guys used to bring
in.
Right? Now, Gold said, hey Viv, we want to do a deal. We've just opened up this Tuggeranong branch. Can we work in a deal with your Tuggeranong store and your Phillips store whereby if people spend $100 on supplements, just give them a 7-day pass to Gold's Gym Tuggeranong. Is that okay? I ran it past, your nephew had just been brought into the business, right? So I ran it past him, hey mate, this is what Golds want to do. Do you mind? Not at all. I think it's a good idea to get more people into our supplement stores.
As you do.
Alright. Now, hindsight, with the supplement store being inside Elite Physique, was it a good idea? Probably not, but I think what people never got told was this is the same guy that was trying to get this 20-year-old kid...
What, would you doing any favours?
Yeah, this 20-year-old kid out of a job, okay? So I put up a little thing, hey guys, you know, if you spend $100 on ANS Performance Supplements, you get a 7-day pass at Gold's Gym. This is valid at our Tuggeranong store, our Woden store. Happy days. That night, Belinda calls me, and I'd never received a call from Belinda in my life.
Yeah.
And I won't repeat what she said, but it wasn't, it was fairly abusive. But Belinda had been so nice to me.
Yeah.
I said, Belle, let me come see you tomorrow and I'll explain it from my end.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, because of that phone call, I saw Nick the next day before going to work. I said, Nick, you wouldn't believe what happened.
Yeah.
At that moment, Dan Stewart called me.
Yeah.
I thought, fuck, you know, I'm not going to let what happened yesterday happen again. I'm going to put this on loudspeaker. So I put my phone on the table, put it on loudspeaker. I say, hey, Dan, how you doing? He goes, are you fucked in the head?
Right.
I say, excuse me?
Yeah.
He goes, you fucking little... How
Whatever.
good's your editing?
Yeah.
I can bleep this all out.
I won't use the terminology that he used, but it was degrading me as a person. He called me every name in the book. Everything that was just very unnecessary. And he goes, you know, I'm giving you 10 seconds to take that post down or there's going to be hell to pay.
Right.
I said, okay, Dan, I'll talk to you later. I hang up. Nick's laughing. Nick's just like, I can't believe a grown-ass man, you know, who's... If we got into a fight, Dan, I'm not a fighter. I'm not very tough. This guy stands about 6'5", tall dude, big dude. Wouldn't have gone very well for me. I'm not interested. Nick's having a laugh about it. Again, 10 seconds later, Dan calls. He goes, did you take it down? I said, man, I just got off the phone to you. You know, how about I come into work and we just talk about it? Let's talk. He hung up on me and I got that text that, you know, there was going to be hell to pay if you show up. Nick basically goes, mate, do you want me to come with you? I said, no, I'm a big boy, I can deal with this. I lied. I called Billy. And then I called you, I texted you, I said, hey mate, this is what happened. Dan's basically threatened me. I don't want to fight, I just want to do my job. I want to turn up, I want to open the shop and work it. So you said, mate, if there's anything that happens, just let me know, I'll be over there. Thankfully, at the time, I had a few friends, Carl, Jeremy, and Jono, who obviously heard about it through the thing, and they said, we'll turn up just to make sure you're okay, kid.
Yeah.
I go in there, open the store, I work the whole day, I end up staying half an hour later, just because Dan's told me, he's going to confront me about it. So I stay. He never turns up. The next morning, your brothers call me and say, Viv, we need you to do us a favour, we need you to go work at Sizak. Sizak's about 40 minutes away from where I live. I said, guys, I don't want to do that. I'm only taking this job. I'm studying full time. I'm already working a couple of jobs. I'm only doing this because it's close to home. They said, mate, he'd call me, he'd call my wife, he called our house phone, he called our son. He was just calling everyone. He was relentless. He said, if you show up on the premises tomorrow, there's going to be cops waiting for you. You're going to get arrested. We don't need the headache. Can you please go to Sizak? I thought, no, I'm not happy about this. I'll do it. Consider this my 2 weeks.
That's it.
Now, that wasn't a real issue until Michael, a mutual friend of ours, who basically said, only Michael's way of, man, I heard you bitched it to Dan. Excuse me? Yeah, I heard you were so scared you didn't turn up and Dan was going to get you. I turned to Nick, and Nick's laughing. He's like, mate, Viv's weak as piss, but that didn't happen at all.
Yeah.
He turned up to work.
Yeah, worked the whole day.
He worked extra. Well, mate, Dan's gone around the gym saying you're too scared to turn up. That's why you left. And that always got to me. Because I didn't voice this ever. And I apologize for doing it on your platform because this is your podcast. But that was something that to this day really got to me, that this person was such a compulsive liar about everything. Now, I like to think I've won. I can now step foot in that gym again, I can train because they no longer own that gym,
well,
right?
I look at it this way. The universe puts everything back to where it should be. It's not karma, it's not anything.
Yeah.
Everything goes back to where it should be. If you're a shitbox things happen to you in the end and you're out. If you're good constantly, it's inevitable. It's like speeding. If you speed everywhere, you're going to get caught. If you're good and you're doing the right thing over and over again, that's what I tell people. People are like, I do the right thing all the time and people shit on me. I'm like, no, you don't. Do it forever. Yeah. I'm like, because I know, look, I do some wrong things. I'm not going to profess of being perfect. I'm far from it. But I legitimately try to do the right thing by everyone. Right? And what I notice is the more I do that, the more opportunities turn up, the more people want to help me, the more support I get. Hey, you're going to get the motherfuckers and the leeches. Yeah. That's going to be the greatest percentage, 80%. But I don't worry about that. I don't care about that because, have a guess what, the 20 that are amazing more than make up for the 80 that are motherfuckers. And that's what I said. The universe just put it back to where it was. Whether it's Dan or whoever, it always goes back that way. Absolutely. So now Dan's back to doing whatever he does, retiring whatever the fuck he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. And Belinda's working. So, and like I said, I'm happy to take a call from either of them. And I'm happy to confront them and tell him right to his face. Yeah. And like I did the first time, I'll do it the next time. So that's why you think I'm on here bagging someone out, and I'm not bagging, I'm just relaying the facts, and I'm not going to talk to their face. You're wrong, I'll talk to his face tomorrow. If he wants to come and see me tomorrow, I'll tell him exactly what I told him to show, and I'll probably be a lot worse if I told him to his face. Yeah. Because at the time, I was in an emotional state and didn't want to cause anything. At the moment, I'd probably tell him way more than what I told him before. Absolutely. And I would tell Belinda the same thing. I really like you, Belle, you've been great to me, and you've been a supporter, but to him, no. Yeah. I feel the same way every day.
I think what you just said there, it was an area that I really struggled with because Belinda was, she's, even to this day, we've made up, she's always very lovely when she sees me. Her kids, I think, are
great.
Her kids are absolutely amazing. He was so backwards in the way that he did everything. He almost, as soon as he took over the gym, it almost felt like he thought the world was against him.
Yeah, well, he had to eradicate any part of Billy that existed, and let people know that I'm the man. And I'm like, have a guess what? No one gives a fuck about you, and no one gives a fuck about Billy. All they care about is going to the gym. That's all they want. They want to be looked after.
And that's all they wanted. They wanted that gym.
That's all they want. I just want to go there and be looked after the same way as I did before. Which was my advice. Don't change anything. Look after people.
First thing that happened, gym changed. it is what it is.
Anyway,
I mean,
that's
life
good.
goes on.
Yep.
But I do want to talk about, not them, I want to generalize this a little bit because there have been a lot of changes that have happened in the industry. Now, you've done everything, right? You've been a PT, you've sold supplements, you've been a coach, for people like me.
Yeah.
What are the biggest mistakes you think are happening with this generation?
Well, the biggest problem is this now, right? What you find is we've got an age of massively mediocre people, right? Massively like more mediocre than you could ever imagine, professing that they're professionals. And the problem is when you start doing that, you give misinformation. And with misinformation comes, and it's the old thing, a little bit of knowledge is the most dangerous thing. More people are getting fucked up now from people who don't know than what they ever did. Because back then there was one or two professionals or three, and they were good. The other problem too is social media. So it's easy to tell a big lie on social media and run with it constantly. And if you're good enough at it, have a guess what? You can get away with what you want. And look, you got Taylor Itzines or whatever her name is. I just found out her net value was like $50 million. She's worth $50 million, right? And she gets up and she does one movement with a leg and something and whatever. The majority of stuff, you just think that's just a big bullshit. So why is it that someone like Louis Simmons, who's probably forgotten more in one day than I've known in my whole life, is worth 100,000? How's it? Where is that proportion coming from? So the biggest problem I see now is people who don't know telling people they do, and being good at telling people they do, whether it be through the social media platform or whatever it is, and not realising that it takes 10, 15, 20 years to actually hone your skill. We're like doctors. When you're a trainer, you're like a doctor. The first 5 years, you know fuck all. The next 5, you're starting to learn. The 5 after that, you started to give good information. And in between all that, have a guess what? You have to bend your pants, pull your pants down and bend over a lot of times and do a lot of things for free and a lot of things for nothing and a lot of things over and over again that cost you money to get to that point. Just like doctors do, just like anyone does.
Do you ever have any conflicting conversations with this new gen? I mean, look, I'll put my hand, I'm probably a part of this new gen of people that, like I said, they profess everything as matter of fact. And they don't have the experience like you do. Because you can't teach experience.
You can't. And the thing is, sure, you need a lot of knowledge, right? But knowledge comes with the experience as long as you're doing it. I mean, you've got people like Al Romero. Now, Al Romero, in my opinion, is probably at the forefront in Canberra in terms of knowledge. He would be right at the top end, if not in Australia. And what I say is, it's people like that. If someone's worth 100, he's worth 10,000. But the problem I have is now, as like you're saying, is I get there and it's like this matter of fact thing. This is the one. I said, it's not like that. All I know is this: sit down, learn, keep learning over and over and over again, and keep getting better at what you do. And what you'll find is people will respect you more for that. Saying I don't know is the best thing. No, I actually don't know. I'll find out for you. But I do know this, and I do know what I'm doing here, and I do know what I'm doing there. That's the biggest problem I find.
I remember this is to this day one of my favorite quotes. You were PTing. It was probably 2 years back, I think it was, and it was over fucking deadlifting. Right, we were at Elite
Rehab.
That's right, and I was just doing the bar, and I can't even explain the pain I was in.
Yeah,
deadlifting this bar, but good pain, right? Everything was activating. I was like, mate, like you just know so much, and you said, Viv, I just know the basics. But I know the basics well.
That's it.
And
I still maintain that. People ask me, Billy, how do you know so much? I'm like, I've done the basics over and over and over and over again. But have a guess what? Basics get you through 95% of where you need to be. The other 5%, which is the super elite level, one, I'm not interested in, and two, I don't think I'm good enough to do. I'm actually not good enough. I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I have the knowledge, if I really want to do, to get to that next level. Probably if I really applied myself, but do I want to? No. But I say it outright, I'm not good enough to do that last little bit.
Totally. And this is the thing that always amazes me, is like someone like you who really does have that experience. And I mean, if anyone is fortunate enough, I mean, he's very strapped for time, but if anyone is fortunate enough to get PT'd by Billy, I mean, he is worth to the cent what you charge, which I don't think is an arm and a leg for what you offer. But you learn the basics, you learn to do them right. This isn't something where I find now someone's training, right? How do you know they're training? Their trainer is now filming them, train. They're not, they've got 3 plates on their back and they're, squatting. They're filming it. They're not spotting them. They're not correcting technique because it's a showcase,
Well, I've seen girls sitting there. I said a girl, I forget, but went away to some commercial gym and she had a guy lunging who couldn't lunge his own body weight with 2 dumbbells, and she was checking her phone. She's like, 7 more, 5 more, and I'm like, the bloke's actually going to have an aneurysm if he keep going. He was like 30 kilos overweight. He had sweat pouring off him, and I'm like, he can't do 1 lunge. And I was like, oh my God. And she was doing, like, you could see her swiping, Tinder, whatever she was on, swiping on a phone, and I'm like, oh my God. And the bloke, she's like, how do you feel? He goes, I feel great. I'm like, you're going to have knee conditions, back conditions. And like, as much as you want to say, the biggest thing I say is, unless someone asks me, I don't offer help anymore. Right. Because you find a lot of people these days actually get offended. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about going to help someone who could do a bit better. I'm talking about people who are, 2 reps away from like herniating discs or popping a knee or doing something completely wrong, where they think they're doing a chest exercise and it's a delt exercise. Mate, that's completely wrong. I just don't say anything anymore because I'm like, you know what? If they really want it, they'll come over and ask. Yeah. And if you offer them a smile or something like that, that's the best I'll do these days.
Well, what you just said then is you used to offer opinions to help people. Now if you offer your opinion, it's almost like you're bullying. It's almost like...
Well, it's like, why are you telling me what to do? I know, just because you're big, I'm like, not at all. I just don't want you to hurt yourself. Yeah. I want you to not waste time. Instead of spending 10 hours, 10 months trying to learn something, why don't you do it in 2?
I think it's because, again, you are very, very kind. And it's like you said, when you were younger, you didn't have that. It was you were almost the outcast. Now you're trying to make people feel better about themselves and just help them. This is where I think the industry, or at least on my opinion, has taken a bit of a turn, where everyone is an expert in everything.
Yes.
They're balancing every single plate, and they can't. These plates are falling left, right, center.
Impossible.
No one's got the appropriate knowledge for training, nor the appropriate knowledge for nutrition, nor the appropriate knowledge for coach, but they're doing everything. It has to be this big combined package, and it's no longer because of passion. It's, that person's doing that. I could just add that into what I'm doing.
It's the same with me. People go, okay, Billy went out and bought a new car, right? But Billy's 40 years old, and he's been working since he's 13. They're like, I need to do that. And look at his PT, look how much he charges. If I could charge that, that's ridiculous. And they go, he's all old school, doesn't do it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just say all that's true. So why all the people I training ending up here and not there? And why do I get asked to do this? And why is this person here? Like, the market will tell you where you're at.
Yeah.
If people are coming to you and you're full and you're asking and you're saying, hey, I'm going to charge 150 or 200 bucks an hour, and people are going, I need to be there. Well, that's what the market dictates. This is what I'm saying, and that's the whole thing. And obviously that doesn't come from just being there for one day. That comes from me charging no money and $20 an hour and $10 an hour and doing that for years.
Do you think the industry is going to take a turn? Because we are in almost the dark ages
I think we're going to be more regulated. I think once it gets more regulated, I think you're going to see the industry turn big time. Because what you're going to find is, unless we start having a really good criteria or a much better criteria for giving people the tools to say, hey, now you can train someone, now you can do this, now you can do that. I think what you're going to find is, there's still going to be all these, cowboys, whatever you want to call them, out there, and influencers trying to get people to do stuff. And I'm shocked. I mean, I even have my partner, and I really like that girl. Why? Oh, she's just good, but why? But what I'm saying is, they've been so good at doing it that a lot of people don't know why they like them so much.
Yeah.
But they'll spend money with it. They'll do everything. And I'm like, that blows my mind. Like, for me, I always thought it was like the old days. Okay, you want to go train. You ask 10 people or 15 people and you see which name comes up the most. He's good or she's good, or he's good or she's good. And then you find out some people with bad experiences. If there's more than a few, you start thinking, well, let me see how it goes. But generally, that's the way it was done. And you see the people who got the most results.
Yeah.
And that was it. Now it's like, she looks good on Instagram, he looks good. I want to trade with him, I want to look like him. But you're not him. And you don't even know, is it 80% genetics based? Is it genetics and drugs? Or is it all three? Is it that he actually is, or she is actually really good as a trainer?
And it's a very small amount. I mean, I think that's one area with social media. And I always say this about people. If you like me, don't follow me on social media, because mine has become a business. You know, whether it's my coaching business, us plugging the podcast, something, whatever it happens to be, it no longer dictates who I am as a human. For a lot of people, they try and overburden their personality on social media, say, you know, I'm this, I'm great, I'm that, you have to be like me. When they don't have the knowledge or the experience, and these are now, like you said, because they've got so many followers.
Well, they're all going to get exposed eventually. Eventually it comes around. Eventually you have to pay the piper.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who you are. Whether you're a piece of shit, or you're a bad trainer, or you're just not a nice person, or you're a scam artist or whatever, if you do it long enough, you're going to pay the piper. Yeah. And remember, these people are addicted to that, so they never want to get it. They want to get it because they start believing their own lies. Maybe I am that good. All of a sudden it comes crashing down, think that's not for me. You know, I'm like, it was never for you. You were shit at it, and you're a shit person for telling people you were good at it.
I think people tend to forget this is people's health and livelihoods that you're
and then people want to shit on you if you are good. I had someone say, Billy, you're dead as shit now. I forget who it was. Someone told me, you know, you're shit, you wouldn't even make it. And I said, but have a guess what? I've got a world record, motherfucker, and you don't. So when you have one, we'll continue this conversation. Have a guess what? I was the best in my time at that time. And if I was around now, I'd still be the best. And if you want to take it a step further, you look at Arnold, he wouldn't place at a local show now at his best. But have a guess what? He was the best in the world. And if he was around now, it'd be the same thing, because Arnold had it in his head that that's what he was going to do.
Absolutely.
And this is what I'm saying. And this is where you have the other way, where people think, you're shit now, you're a no one. I'm like, but I was good and you never were. So we'll continue this when you're actually good.
Just before we close up here, what do you think of the fitness industry in Canberra now? Are we headed in the right direction, or are we?
No. I really don't. I think full service gyms, the death of full service gyms is what is actually killing it. It's all become about profits and not full service. You have really good places like Ribeiro Athletics, which is a semi-private gym, and to me that's where I train out of. It's amazing, right?
Where's Ribero's, for people that don't know?
Ribero's is in Fishwick.
Fishwick.
So, like, and like I said, I don't give a plug because I know it's the best. For me, it's the best place in Canberra to train, full stop. If you want to get good at something, you go there. It's not cheap, but you either can choose to be cheap and be a shitbox for your whole life, or you can choose to spend money, and you know yourself. You want good stuff, you've got to spend money. But in saying that, I find that the full service gym is where it's gone bad.
Right.
Well, I look at it now, if I walk into any commercial gym, no one says hello. And I had a friend of mine said, I went to a gym he's been at a gym in Canberra, a commercial gym for 4 years. Not one person in the gym, I'm talking trainer or person, has ever offered to come up and offer him a spot. He goes, when I was an elite, when you were there, I'd turn around, there'd be 4 people ready to come over and say hello and have a spot. We used to have people that would finish the gym and sit down for half an hour later and have a chat. You'd see relationships come out of there, marriages. I mean, you name it. There's a lot of people go, oh, she met him at the gym, they got married. Oh, they met at one of our parties. Oh, that was great. You know, this is, you know, an older lady who, was divorced and have a husband. We took her away to a powerlifting comp. You know, now I walk in, no one even looks at you. They don't even want to say hello. And I think that's where the problem is, because, have a guess what? A lot of people aren't confident in the gym. When you've got that support, that's where it flourishes. And it doesn't just come from the staff, it's got to come from the members. But have a guess what? The members come, that style of member comes from the top. Yeah. So if you've got a good boss and good staff, they go, I want these people, get them to talk, help these people out, and all of a sudden everyone's talking, and it changes the whole culture, and that's what people want it to be like. It's not like that anymore.
Do you think it's because of the economy that, obviously our economy has tightened up a lot, that there's no longer the ability to go out there and make a full service gym?
I think if people ran it right with 1 or 2 really good people in there, you could still have a full service gym.
Right.
But the reality is, it's just easy. Most people do it. A businessman now, FEMA, whatever. And they get that, they want a turnkey gym where they go out and make money.
Yeah.
I own a gym. You shouldn't even own a gym. You don't even know what the whole thing about it is. I make this much money, this much members in, this out, get more members. The end.
It's that simple, right?
Yeah, and I'm just like, no, that's ridiculous. For me, it doesn't work. So, you know, that's where I see it heading. From a money point of view, does it work? Yep. Does it work for the member? Not really. That's why they have such big turnover rates. And that's where you see little boxes where you've got 10, 20, 30, 50 people are growing because people want to feel part of a community. That's where I urge you. A lot of people do it as a social thing too. People think, I shouldn't be social. But it has to be social.
Well, it's an escape for a lot of people.
You look, a lot of guys and girls met each other at the gym.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of girls are not confident. They go to a gym, they start talking to, we met at the gym, it was really nice. It's not the big meathead walking around, it's not like that at all. And, you know, we had, you know, that many relationships come out of when I was in. It was great. You see people who got married. I just met at the gym. I seen a girl the other day. I remember you met at the gym. Yeah, we knew each other, but we'd see each other at the gym, and that's how. That's great.
It's amazing how, just in such a short time.
I mean, I met my partner at Romero's.
Yeah, right.
We hated each other, but it was good. Like we actually got on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. But why? Because it was a community. We became friends. We stayed friends for ages, and then we ended up dating each other. And that's what I said. You know, a lot of people don't want to go out to do that. Sometimes, it doesn't mean you go to a gym to date, but ultimately if you're around the same people 2 hours a night, you get to know people. Sometimes something starts, sometimes it doesn't.
The fine line between creeping and just trying to get to know someone.
True.
It is a very fine line. Not that we'd ever do that.
No.
Fucking gentlemen.
No, never.
What's next for you, Billy?
Good. I've actually started a new venture now, which is I'm really passionate about.
Cool.
And it's
Explain
not
it to us.
It's not about bodybuilders. It's about people who want to train, people who want to get in shape, but don't want to go to a gym or do want to go irrespective. So what I've started is we've got some contract chefs making meals for us. So what I'm doing is we're getting meals made for us, more like a pub meal, not your chicken, rice, veg, you know what I mean? And what we're doing is we're providing a one-stop service to people. So I've got meals getting provided, so all your meals for the week, plus your training, plus your nutrition. I've got a dietitian working with me at the moment.
Oh, wow.
So I'll do the training side of the program, and we provide the meals, and they'll click off the nutrition side.
So it's an all-in-one service.
So what we're trying to do is saying, hey, Joe blogs, and this is what I find, we know that 20% of people go to gyms. There's 18 or 20% in Canberra. Obviously, that leaves probably another 20 or 40% that don't go to a gym, right? Because you've got kids, elderly, whatever. And what we know out of that also is I know that some people just don't want to go to a gym. I ask, do you want to go to a gym? No. Do you want to get in shape? Yep. So they're out buying Tony Ferguson shakes and bullshit like that. But what I want to say is, hey, here's your program that you can do at home. You don't have to go to a gym. Here's your meals. Here's your diet done by a dietitian. Check in with us once a week. And what I'd like to see is people build up the confidence, say, hey, I'm ready to go to a gym. I've lost 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 kilos, and I've got your support. And if I'm going to a gym, mate, I don't want to do anything. I want all my snacks and stuff sent to me, and I want it done by people who know how to train me, and I want to diet.
Do you have a website for this new?
It'll be coming soon. So it's actually called Greater, like GRTR.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that'll be coming soon, and basically be able to order off the site, order all your coaching from zero up to personalised, whatever you want from me.
If you don't mind asking, when do you think you'll have that website?
I would say within 3 weeks. It'll be going 3 to 4 weeks. It'll be ready to go.
Cool. We'd have this up before then, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
What we could even do, it's up to you now, is maybe just chuck some logos up at the end of this.
That'd be
We'll chuck
fabulous.
down the link up at the bottom of the video.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll do that because this is really cool. I mean, everyone wants that service. A lot of people, like you said, for a lot of people, it's intimidation, right?
Well, even business people. Some of the guys I train are very, very successful business people. And what do they say? I don't have the time. I have the money. You tell me what I've got to do, and I'll do it. But give me the whole lot.
Mm.
And it's not the money that's the issue, it's their time. And they don't want to be mucked around. And it's a lot of people. They go, you tell me what I've got to do, you give me the whole lot so I don't have to think. I mean, you know yourself with clients, what's the biggest issue? You've got to do your meal prep. Did you do your meal prep? Oh, I forgot, so I had to have this meal. Oh, I didn't quite get there. Oh, how did you prep it? How did you do this? I mean, obviously I'm not targeting, the bodybuilders and, the figure shapers and everything like that. I'm just targeting the average bears that want to get into shape.
For the people that are listening, could you give us some examples of the meals?
Okay, so some of the meals will be like we've got a honey chicken tenders with rice, like a satay chicken, steak Diane, mushroom steak, bangers and mash. Bangers and mash, what else is there? Beef with black bean. So all the meals that you'd go out for, but they're done in a slightly calorie controlled environment. And then I've also got like mince and veg, mince and rice that's spiced. So even your cleaner meals are still got taste to them, because you know it as well as I do. A lot of the time people, they don't want to eat chicken and rice. I hate chicken and rice. But obviously if I have to get in shape, I'll do it. But we're not talking about people, getting sub 6%. We're talking about people getting to 10 and being comfortable. Females getting 12 and going, my God, this is the best I've felt. The meals taste good. I know what I'm doing. They all come to my house. I know the training and I'm happy to do it. And then obviously if they want to go to the next step, I go, look, I don't want a bodybuild diet. Here's blah, or here's this, or here's this. This is where you need to go to the next step.
Well, what you just said then is sometimes it's just portion control for a lot of people. It's just being able to just sort of just see what they're eating, understand, okay, this is what a meal should look like.
Yeah.
If this is the one meal that I have off, everything else I can sort of prep, or it's just easier to sort of get. Just makes life easier.
And what I want to do is say to people, hey, you can still have stuff that tastes good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It doesn't have to taste dry, and it can still taste like close to your pub meal. But with that effort, you're going to get to this level of conditioning, as long as you do some exercise, and that could even be a walk. I mean, some of my basic programs for people, who are really struggling, who might be carrying 20, 30, 40, 50 kilos of weight, get up and do a 20-minute walk in the morning, 10 minutes one way and 10 the other. That's all you have to do.
It's better than what
every
you're
day,
currently, right?
Exactly. And you're going to eat this. And what we find is people calorie stack. It does the same thing in business. People do it, and people that struggle do this.
Explain calorie stacking.
Okay, so people that don't understand is this. They get up in the morning and they don't have breakfast because they're not hungry. Then at little lunch, they'll have a muffin or something. You know what I mean? Have a muffin and a coffee, or whatever, or a muffin and a hot chocolate. And that gets them through. Afternoon tea, they have a quiche or so. They'll have something. By the time they get to dinner, they're that hungry that they starve. So they'll have a pizza, they'll go to the cupboard and have biscuits, pizza, and an ice cream. But then you stacked all your calories at the end of the day. So what happens in the morning? Not hungry again. So they start this thing, and all that happens, they're eating more and more and more at night and less in the day. They go, I hardly eat. I'm like, but what you're eating. So what I want to do is educate them that, okay, we want to have this, and this is how we want to do it, and all you have to do is walk, because you're never going to get someone like that into a gym. They don't feel comfortable, and I don't blame them for not feeling comfortable. And they don't want someone sitting there looking at them. So they're going, how can I do this in my own home, or somewhere where I'm comfortable, or I want to get in condition, or if you're in a gym, I can write you a program that's going to do 80% of what you need to do if you want to get into better shape. And for men, I talk about, when I say in shape, I mean 10% for men and 15 for females, 14. And if you're 14% and 15 as a female, you look good.
Well, that's fantastic.
And if you're 10 as a male, you're great. Anything after that, it's not really for me, because I know the effort, and you'll know the effort it is to getting people in a comp shape. It's a massive amount of effort.
And most important, I think, as well, it's not sustainable.
And it's not sustainable. So I want to say, do this. If you're wanting to compete, go see a specialist who will work with you, and you're obviously paying them as a one-on-one to do it that way.
With your meals, they sound sort of like lunch and dinner kind of.
Well, I look at it more as a lunch and dinner, and we're going to do in between snacks.
Right. My next question was, are you going to venture out to maybe doing like a breakfast?
In between snacks, exactly.
Right.
So what we find is most people can sort breakfast, because they're at home, and we have quick, medium, and fast. Slow option, medium, and fast option. So fast option might be for someone who's never had a breakfast, an up and go.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're having something, have something you like. But then what we find is they bugger it up from there on in. So mid-morning I might have a little protein sample and a bit of fruit. Lunch might be a meal, and dinner will be a meal. That's all taken care of. You can't bugger it up. And then we have suggestions, you know what I mean? I'll have suggestions for them later on. If you need to go out, do blah. But that'll come from the contact via email.
Right.
Billy, I'm going out and this is what I need to do.
Just quickly with that, is the website going to be the only place you can get these meals?
No, we're going to have them at stores like, obviously they'll be available from the King Ape stores at Erindale and Physique, and then obviously any new store that we open.
Right.
But you'll have home delivery as well.
Fantastic.
And Romero Athletics, so Romero and Physique, if you're out there, and obviously we'll also be offering conditioning classes for people.
Okay, cool.
So if you don't want to go to it, and it'll be done at Alan Romero's in just small groups. So if you're not comfortable being in a gym, you come in a small group environment, and we'll have specific conditioning classes for greater people.
Right. And guys, honestly, that is something for anyone that hasn't currently got a gym membership or isn't currently active, this is something I totally recommend, because you have experienced trainers that are just there to help you. They've made their money. Their money in the industry has been made. This is now a passion project. That's probably what it is, right?
So for me, I tell people, I've had people ring me up and go, I want to train with you. What are your deals? I said, there's no deals. I don't do this because I want money or need it. I do it because I like training people. I like doing it this way. So my point is with this is, I want people, and it's not even from business, I want people to feel comfortable walking into a small group environment, or not at all, whether it be at Romero's or at home, athletics, and go, hey, that was really supportive. I feel great.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this is definitely going to be something really cool. Once again, we're talking about being innovative. This is something innovative. No one's done this before. And man, I really hope it works.
Yeah, well, we can try. Like I said, we'll just try, and I'll keep pushing at it. And obviously, if it doesn't work one way, I'll try and make it work another. But eventually, like I said, in my head, it just comes down to this. I want to make people feel better. Totally. That's it. If they feel better, I'm happy.
Well, it's the biggest win. I mean, like guys, whenever this comes out, we will put the link to this website down the bottom there. Man, just keep watching this. Eventually that website will be up. It's going to be good. Billy, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Thank you very much. It's been awesome. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, very grateful for this. And guys, thank you all for the questions. I mean, we structured this because this is the podcast of the people of Canberra. We really did structure these questions.
I thought you were going to ask me about kids.
Ken Honeybone, I apologize. Yes, Billy.
You're going to ask me about kids. I was like, good. To answer the question, do you want to have kids? And what was the question? Do you have any kids, or are you going to have kids? I think there's something.
Someone said it's kids in the plan for the future.
Yes, there are. I mean, the reason I haven't had kids now is I take kids really seriously. And it's easy to have a child. It's much harder to raise a child. I've seen a lot of parents who've basically tried to make money, and the kids have turned into shit boxes. I've seen a lot of parents who don't look after their kids and don't really give them the attention they need. So for me, I take it really seriously, and I take it seriously in the partner I choose to have children with. Like, that's my biggest thing. Once I have children, which I will, I really want to have kids in the next couple of years.
Fantastic.
I want to be able to do the best I can for them, and the best I can for my partner. And I take it more seriously than any business, anything I've had, because once you bring a life into this world, that's your responsibility. And I'll do everything I can to teach that child to be the best they can be.
Well, look, I mean, not that my opinion has much value, but it is something I honestly think you're going to make a great dad. I mean,
thanks,
in this community, everyone calls you Uncle Bilza.
Well, that's true, yeah. Uncle Bilza will be there. Yeah.
Uncle Bilza will be there. You've always been, for me especially, been a big father figure in my life, and I've been very grateful for that. And no doubt, the children that you do have will be very, very lucky to have you as a father.
No, I can't wait.
So, man, once again, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Thank you for having me.
Big Thorpe, thanks again for producing this.
Thanks, Big Thorpe.
Hopefully we've got enough space in the memory cards for this.
Yeah,
man, I can't wait for this to go up. I really hope you all enjoy this. Like I said, make sure you do check the links down below for Billy's new business venture. It sounds amazing. Everything he does do is amazing, Billy. Thanks, brother.
Thanks very much for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you.